I hate to say it, but all they're thinking about is just like, where do we save that extra dollar?
I think it's the first thing that everybody has to talk about, especially if you've been invested in the story for as many years as we have.
Yes, they know that a lot of players really like and that they want to do, but they haven't done it. And I think that a lot of developers are just simply stressed.
Right. So there's a big nostalgia push in gaming right now, and I really think that we're suffering on narrative because of it.
Yeah, I agree. Very worried about that too, but I guess we're going to have to find out together.
Alrighty, guys, welcome to the first ever episode of As Long as It Takes, a new series on my channel where we go through and do a challenge on a map with a guest. That guest picks the challenge. We go through and complete it while we interview them. This is definitely the first time that we have recorded this video. And if we had done this previously, we definitely would be doing the same challenge that we did the first time. And along with that, if we were doing this for the second time, I would definitely not feel bad about making Stanley re-record this. Joining me today is Stanley557. He is a content creator on YouTube for the zombies community that specializes in not only the chaos storyline, but retrospectives, and has been making some incredible content in the community. Stanley, thanks for being willing to be here with me today.
Yeah, absolutely. Hello there, fellow zombie slayers. My name is Stanley557, and today we're here to play Terminus because last time we did Voyage, and you know what? Hey, we don't gotta do the same challenge twice. Keep things fresh.
Exactly. Alrighty. Well, so Stanley, do you want to outline the challenge for us real quick so that everybody's on par with what we're doing?
Yeah, so today we're just going to be doing Terminus with no gobblegums, just keeping it simple, keeping it straight, and just making it super easy time for the first video. First video, first recording.
Very cool.
Totally haven't practiced this multiple times.
Yeah, definitely. Um, so getting right into the nitty gritty, Stanley, a couple of questions that come to mind off the top of my head are the current state of Call of Duty Zombies has been heavily debated recently in the community with everything going on from voice actors being replaced to story issues and the size and scope of some of the maps that we've gotten recently. Do you want to speak a little bit on what's been going on in the community?
Yeah, absolutely. So people are very much up in turmoil right now. I'd say the zombies community is in a very, I think the best way to put it is a very reactionary spot right now, where if something goes wrong, it's the end of the world. If something goes right, and by something goes right, the bare minimum goes right, then it's the best thing ever. I think people are very volatile to their reactions right now about what's happening with zombies, and this has been exacerbated by Black Ops 6 with maps like The Tomb, with maps like Liberty Falls, and I think that a lot of people, because this is a big zombies entry, and I think a lot of people are feeling a bit let down by it, which I'd say is understandable.
I
But
definitely think they're not missing the mark with that assumption. Um,
yeah,
Unfortunately, because the game did start off with such a good map, being Terminus was one of the launch maps, was a fantastic experience in my opinion. I mean, love that we're playing it right now. 5 is our card number, by the way.
no, don't. Yeah, it's
And
7-0.
um, something that really interested me in the last couple of days on social media is Nolan North reportedly told a fan at a conference to start getting excited for the next couple of updates coming out for Black Ops 6. Is this something that the community should look into, or is it something that we should take with a grain of salt?
Yeah, I would say take it with a grain of salt, but at the same time, Nolan North is absolutely someone to listen to. He is a talented actor, and he understands the character of Richtofen better than anybody. But at the same time, we don't know what the extent of his voice work is. We don't know if it just has to do with the mansion, if it has to do with extra dialogue for Liberty Falls, we don't know what the full extent to his involvement is with this new map. So, but hey, you know what? If he says to get excited about it, then we should be getting excited about it, if you ask me. But like anything in life, we got to keep everything's got to be mellowed out. We can't be overly excited to the point where we're overthinking what it's going to be, what's going to happen.
Right. I feel like the community, especially with Black Ops 6, has had they've had a really good opportunity to like overhype a situation. We were so excited because round base was coming back and we weren't getting another MWZ. Things were looking up. You know, the build up to this game's launch was an incredible one, and I think a lot of the content creators in the community also helped with that build up. Um, but I do think that we do need to take it with a grain of salt, seeing everything that we have seen this year, especially with the situations going on with SAG and the voice actors not being able to work. I think that a lot of our story and narrative is going to be taken away by not having some of these iconic actors in the space. So I definitely think you're on track with, you know, not reading into it 100% as Nolan North being an incredible person, an incredible actor, probably, you know, doesn't have the full scope of what's being released and just knows what he's done voice-wise. So I think maybe we're just going to see Richtofen in some of the upcoming updates, but who knows how big these maps are going to be and how much content we're really going to receive with them.
Yeah, and I don't want to say I'm worried. I think that BO6 could very well end on a very good note. Black Ops 2, the first 3 maps were terrible, and then we got Mob of the Dead, Buried, and Origins one after the other. So, you know, obviously I'd say the writing's on the wall that we're just not going to be getting as strong experiences as Terminus, but at the same time, the race isn't over, and I'm not going to call it until the final moment.
Yeah, that's totally fair. I think that they definitely could pull out a huge W at the end of the year, especially if they've been saving the best for last, which they've done in previous titles as well. That being said, we know that one of our maps is based in the mansion above Liberty Falls, and to me, I don't know how much larger a mansion could be than an entire town or an underground tomb. Do we think that the mansion is going to be smaller than that?
I don't think so. Like, well, what do you think of a map like Dead of the Night? If you've played Dead of the Night. Like, what do you think of that, like, that size?
Personally, I love Dead of the Night, and I think it's I think it's big but not big in the same way. You know, there's a lot of tight corridors, but there's also a lot of space to explore.
Mm-hmm. So then that makes me think. You can run, by the way. So that makes me think that like that it's okay. Like I think it'll be fine. I think the map's gonna be big enough. I think it's gonna be large enough. It's gonna give us a lot of space to explore. And I'm not too worried about the map being too small, unless they specifically state that it is going to be a smaller map. And if that's the case, which according to leaks it might be, that would kind of suck. Because I think not trying to say the quantity of the map is what makes it worth it, but we've been getting very small maps, and even with the smaller maps, I don't even really feel like the quality of what we're getting is that worth it either. Like the Tomb, I really like. But some issues I have with the Tomb are that it reuses a wonder weapon, it reuses enemies, it reuses a new perk. I'd say besides the map design, the map doesn't have a whole lot new going for it.
No, I definitely agree. And honestly, the size of the map doesn't necessarily matter. I think that receiving quote-unquote survival size maps can be a good thing, and we've had a lot of really fun ones in the past, and I mean, honestly, even some of the ones this year have been really fun. But I think it's the quality of the content is really what we're looking for. I mean, we've had small maps in the past that have blown everybody away by the content and the quality of the map. And I mean, even Liberty Falls is something that I can go back to, and it's something that clearly the community has gone back to, as it's seen the most playtime out of any map in Zombies this year. But it really, I think, the success or failure of that map is going to come down to not only the content, but the narrative as well. And going along with that, there's been a few issues in the narrative this year. what are your thoughts, being somebody that focuses pretty heavily on story?
Ooh, the narrative has been making me a bit sad, honestly. So my issues with the narrative is that it's stacking too many elements. Like, you have the chaos elements, you have Alistair Rhodes, you have the four characters, you have Franco, you have Ravenov, you have Croft, you have Richtofen, you have the Sam AI. You have all these different like forces and elements all fighting for narrative consistency and control. But I don't really feel like any of them get truly any time to shine. A lot of them feel underbaked. Croft dies before he could even feel like a relevant character, despite a lot of the lore and Citadel doing a great job. Speaking of Citadel, Citadel is over bloated with too many narrative threads and nothing is really tying it together. On Terminus, we don't really feel like the characters have been here for 6 years. At most, they might have been here for a month if you read the dialogue. The the more four characters have a whole bunch of operator dialogue that carries over between each map. Every character has at most like 30 minutes of dialogue across 3 maps right now, whereas Diego Nicali on Voyage of Despair alone had over 50 minutes of dialogue. So I'm a bit disappointed by seeing how resources are being distributed in the narrative. And not only that, the narrative, there's too much going on and it's not consistent enough to give you something to latch on to. The main characters keep getting passed over. Maya got the most development in Terminus, but Weaver, Carver, and Gray are all on the sidelines. And it creates this really weird dynamic where people are getting time to shine, but they also aren't really. So it's frustrating to be a fan, especially a fan of the narrative.
I think so. I think you're definitely on the right track with that, especially this year. I mean, with
Sorry,
some of our...
so much there.
No, you're good. You're good. I mean, you look into maps like even Alpha Omega, for example, like may not have been everybody's favorite map, but gosh dang it, there's a lot of dialogue in that map.
Yes.
They recorded probably 3 times the amount of dialogue for that map than any other map because the cast and crew was just so much bigger than it has been. But like, there's a lot to be said with dialogue, and there's a lot to explore story-wise with dialogue, and I do think that they've been missing the mark this year, unfortunately. I just don't think that things have been up to par. Like you said, they're kind of like half-baked ideas that we never really get to get a full realization of, and I'm really hoping that later on in the season, at the bare minimum, Samantha and Richtofen end up getting, some kind of fleshed out dialogue that's maybe more in depth than what our current cast has.
Yeah.
At least because they're core characters to the franchise over the last several years. I would still love to see way more talked about with, Weaver and Ravenov and, all of these other characters that we know a decent amount about from Cold War, but not a whole lot about from Black Ops 6. So I definitely think that dialogue could play a huge part in the story coming up if they do it well. But it really makes you wonder and worry with the whole SAG issues and the voice acting problems within the gaming industry right now, as if we're going to get that or not.
Yeah, the SAG, the SAG stuff's making me so sad recently, especially with Julie Nathanson, who's been the voice actress for Samantha. She's been voicing her, speaking of Sam, who's currently talking to us, she's been voicing Sam for since pretty much the beginning, besides Origins. And it's been extremely sad to see her completely disregarded as another voice actor, not a pillar of the game's identity. Especially when what's causing it is them not wanting to give fair contracts to the voice actors, which they deserve. Like, this is their job, this is what they get paid to do, and they're constantly at risk of losing their job to greedy, corner-cutting strategies that only benefit the bottom line shareholders. They don't benefit the quality of the product.
Oh,
to be
100%.
a bit more candid here, if AI is supposed to be so helpful, then why are we getting less voice lines? Why are we getting all the special celebrity characters, like any collab, all have the exact same voice lines in zombies? It's only corners cut with none of the benefits of the corner cutting.
Yep, I fully agree, and that's the weird thing is they've been trying to get everybody to sign over their voice rights for AI so that they can continue putting out more work. But I feel like that the AI has just been so sloppy that they've been putting a minimal amount of content into the game. as far as voice lines are concerned. It's something that we've seen across the entire industry, and not just Call of Duty Zombies. There's a lot of companies that have been doing AI voice work recently, and it's just the whole industry is not thriving on it, unfortunately.
No,
Um,
it's only really burning consumers, and it's
e-
really not helping producers.
exactly. Yep. It's just cutting costs for the sake of cutting costs, not for, bettering your story, bettering your narrative, fixing your
Yeah,
game. Like there's not a whole lot of benefit to it other than cutting costs, unfortunately.
yes,
Um,
and it's so apparent.
we do have rumors that things like Double Tap are coming back to Call of Duty this year.
Yes.
I think that could propose a pretty large issue personally, but what is your take on that?
How so? You talking about game balance?
I think balance wise, but I also think uh, the way that we spawn in with loadouts now, having perks like double tap could cause some pretty big issues, giving you the best option and the best weapons up front rather than having to spin the box looking for something that could be better than what you currently hold.
Mm.
I think there's a lot of things that could be said about the way that they're doing things with that.
Yeah, and especially on the last couple of maps, it's going to be a real big issue because you're actually able to spawn in and probably get double tapped fairly quickly.
Right. It's not going to be
So
something that's in the Wonder Fizz like it will be on the
the
current
first four
maps.
maps.
Right.
Yeah, like at least the first four maps they'll be kind of protected from that for even if ignoring people who use perkaholics or use like on the houses or like any free perk Easter egg. But like for standard gameplay, you're not expected to really see that till like late game
Right.
or mid game. Whereas with the other three maps, I would almost be shocked if it wasn't on a map. It's so overpowered, like it's almost like you should have it on each map. Oh, that's fine.
Yeah. No,
So
I full-heartedly
I'm really
agree.
curious to see what they're going to do with that.
Oh,
Oh,
right.
especially with the balancing of it. I heard a theory that like, oh, what if they made it so that only like every other like headshot has a % chance to do double damage, but I think the base value of the perk will be double damage. So we'll have to see. Then there's the whole icon controversy, which is like, yeah, it's not a very pretty looking icon. I think the original or even many redesigns that people have been giving online have been pretty good.
Oh, 100%. And I think that there's some question on whether or not they've used generative AI for the double tap advertisements that they've been putting out on social media, which is
Yeah.
actually really concerning in my eyes. If they're going as far as using graphic design logos from generative AI, I think it gets lazy to a degree, and again, it comes down to cutting costs. But you're cutting costs from something that already doesn't see necessarily the limelight anymore. I mean, I don't remember the last time that we saw a game that was as polished and detailed as like Black Ops 3 or Black Ops 4 were as far as like quality. And then just putting it in the hands of AI really just makes me wonder what they're thinking,
I hate to say it, but all they're thinking about is just like, where do we save that extra dollar?
Exactly.
Like, how does this benefit our shareholders? It doesn't feel like it just doesn't help players.
See,
Especially with like all the witch hunts of like AI too. Yeah, go on. Sorry.
Oh, 100%. But I definitely really wish that they would take, lessons from other development companies, primarily in the solo space or single player space recently, with like FromSoft. The FromSoft games they spare no expense on those developments, I guarantee it. And they're one of the highest regarded games that have been out in years because they give all of their content up front. They provide a fully polished and completed game for the end user experience, and there's nothing to complain about with those games, really, other than the fact that they're challenging, but that's just skill issues.
They're consistently game of the year.
Right.
Yeah, Call of Duty comes out as a buggy mess every year.
Their sales are massive. They clearly make more than enough money developing and publishing a From Software title. And I feel like if Call of Duty just took that same like love and passion for their game and put the money in, they would get way more money out.
I agree.
Um,
Yeah, absolutely. Like Call of Duty could really be a tentpole title. It could be like the title every couple of years to like get excited about, and it becomes game of the year. It's contender for it. It's something people are pumped, but that doesn't seem to ever be their goals. They're always very short-sighted, and it's just how do we get our annual, big bonus at the end of the year because we have to have a quarter four stock bonus. Say that we rose our stock evaluation again.
right. And I just it's mind-boggling to me knowing that they could put more effort in and they would sell more copies,
Yeah.
which would then increase their stock bonus. And like it doesn't seem like a smart
And
financial or
player
smart business
satisfaction, like
decision to be
they're
like
just
this.
constantly running into like issues with players where it's like, oh yeah, players weren't happy about this week.
Right.
And
Or
it's just like it's
player
always something.
retention, they're always losing
Yeah.
players. There's less people
Most
playing
times
Call of
like
Duty
fight.
now than years ago. And the
Yeah.
only times that people are playing it is, usually children playing Warzone because it was hyped up, but even that's seen a decline, and that's why they're bringing Verdansk back and, trying to revive it there. But we've also seen that they're having some struggles there as well, that if Verdansk doesn't go well, they might change their strategy from Warzone to something more standard for Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Going back towards narrative discussions, obviously they brought the Chaos storyline into the Dark Ether storyline. It's now like fully canon, regardless of Jason Blundell rolling over in his grave over it, because he definitely didn't want to merge the two stories. But what are your thoughts on Chaos being introduced to the Dark Ether storyline? Should they lean harder into Chaos? Or do you think Chaos is just pulling away from the narrative that they've been trying to communicate with us since Cold War?
Yeah. As the biggest Chaos fan in the world, really excited to see these elements brought back up, but I just don't think they're handling them right. And it's really hurting. Like we keep dancing around the idea of are certain elements of Chaos canon when you really get into the nitty gritty of like the details of how the Chaos stuff works, you have to start questioning like, oh, well then this Chaos can't be fully canon then if this is true. Or like, oh, Court effects made the Sentinel artifacts, for example. That doesn't make any sense because the Nine made the Sentinel artifacts. The
Right.
Sentinel artifact can think and it can call people to them. It can stalk them. It can kill them even. That doesn't really make any sense how it does that. And then that's not consistent with how they work in Chaos, for example. So then you have arguments of people saying, well, it's not canon, but only elements of it are canon. But that just makes it more confusing than just outright not making it canon at all.
Right, or just creating a new, unique narrative. Yeah. I think, unfortunately, one of the issues that we're seeing in this industry right now is nostalgia for nostalgia's sake. Most of the people that are like spending a lot of money on games recently are people who want to relive the glory days that they experienced when they were in, elementary, junior high, and high school ages. And so companies are like, well, we can get them to open their wallets if we bring back something that they remember from back in the day. That's how a lot of the industries felt to me recently. I mean, they're always bringing new things back. Fortnite brought back their Season 1 or Season 0 map and like weapons and everything. Like, there's
Verdansk is coming back. There's leaks of like the Primus crew coming back.
Right. So there's a big nostalgia push in gaming right now, and I really think that we're suffering on narrative because of it. And then you see these new companies, or not new companies, but new game titles coming out that don't have like a previous fan base, that are just blowing up and doing incredibly well. I mean, Marvel Rivals, for example, copy of a hero shooter genre, but it's Marvel's first real like FPS or AAA IP other than like the Spider-Man games on PlayStation in the last several years. And people are going to that for nostalgia reasons as well, just because of the Marvel IP. So I think it's something that we're seeing across the industry right now. And I think a lot of story and narrative is being, disregarded as part of that. Oh, go ahead.
No, you're good. No, you're good.
So the other thing that I always have to talk about with the Cold War and Black Ops 6 era slash style of zombies is power creep. Power creep was something that you pretty much had to have in zombies back in the day to make the game function. It gave you something to strive for, some alternative reason to hit the box other than just to see what you get. There was something to shoot for aside from wonder weapons to enhance your game. That's something that I think we're missing a lot of right now in this title specifically. What are your thoughts on power creep and how has it affected Black Ops 6?
Yeah, power creep was originally something that was very different in the old days because power creep was more like how the developers gave you resources. The biggest thing back in the day was killing things and then getting ammo. That zombies used to be a resource survival management game. That was what most of the gameplay was predicated on. Nowadays, it is more of an action shooter. So then, how do you really balance the game? And I think the developers answer that by just not doing that. In fact, zombies is a very unbalanced product at times. The developers just seem to kind of fly by the seat of their own pants. They'll just do whatever they think is going to be fun. So it creates systems like the loadout system, where you can load in with any weapon now. The mystery box becomes almost kind of irrelevant, which is kind of weird to say after how long it's been useful for players. I mean, really, up till Cold War. You have perks that keep getting new abilities, so... Yeah, I'd say that I agree that there is power creep, but it's more of a natural evolution of the way the game has changed from, resource management to action adventure, which is something that they very, very clearly have been shifting in the direction of since Black Ops 4. So it's kind of hard to balance the game, and I think at this point the developers just want to throw that out the window and just... It's fighting that urge of making the game fun while also making the game difficult. And I think that they put a lot of artificial difficulty measures in that don't make the game as fun as it could be because of those decisions.
I think that's totally fair.
Yeah.
I just remember, like, part of what got me into zombies back in the day was spinning the mystery box for a chance at, the Galil or the Thunder Gun, the ray gun back when it was still good. Like, I feel like something that new players are missing out on is that, like, reason to hit the mystery box and the excitement when you pull something really good from it. Unless you're hitting the mystery box late rounds where you're already fully kitted and set up in this version of zombies, like, you're not going to be excited about pulling a gray shotgun out of the box. Like, the weapon rarity aspect, right, and the unlikeliness of you ever pulling a wonder weapon in the early rounds without using gobblegums that you have to spend money on, like, it just isn't there, and it's not worth spinning the box until late rounds for wonder weapons anyways. So I just feel like I feel bad for a lot of the people that are joining in and learning about zombies now because it's so different and so, like, they're just missing out on some of the aspects that really made me fall in love with the mode. And that's just a little tangent of my personal thoughts and beliefs. There is a lot of reasons to still love and play the new version of zombies that we're experiencing right now. Don't get me wrong, I do think that there is benefit to these games, and I think this year started off really good. I think this title was fun.
Yeah.
But
like,
it's different, to say the least.
Oh, there you go. Oh, here, hit your valve. Try it again. There you go. Okay.
We good?
No,
We good?
I totally agree with all those. Yeah, I totally agree with all those points. I think the biggest thing is though, the game's just so radically different at this point. It's kind of hard to compare it to its old self. Where I think a lot of players who got into zombies for what it is now, I would find it more difficult to get into it what it is back then.
Right. It's kind of like an apples to oranges
I would
situation.
personally, yeah, like I would love to see an older, a slower version of zombies. I think this version is, like, BO6 is really hitting the cap of like, how fast can you make these games before it just becomes absolutely obnoxious to play through.
Yeah, no, totally fair. I'm just trying not to die to Nathan.
Yeah.
Oh no. I have Shroud if you want it at any point.
Oh yeah, hit Shroud. Yeah, hit Shroud. Almost dead.
Yeah. Might be the fastest Nathan clear I've ever had.
Dude, it's that ASG shotgun, brother.
Oh
Kicks him
yeah,
to the curb.
it's doing its work. That's for sure.
Oh my gosh, Carver's only line. Wow.
Right?
There he is. Hey, buddy. Rip.
Alright, you got the key card.
Got the key card. Let's go.
Cool. That goes into the computers, right?
You don't even need to do that. You can just skip that entirely.
Really?
Yeah. Here,
Didn't
there's a
even
boat down
know.
here. Can I get on it? Yep.
Um,
They tell you to go over there, but they never really like. You don't have to go up there. Oh, there's an Malcolm in that window, buddy.
oh, so are we just hitting boat and getting out of here?
Yeah, we just go straight to the boat.
Cool. So on to our next point. Hardcore game mode for hardcore fans. Is that something that you think fits into this game model or no?
Hardcore mode for a hardcore fan. I mean, BO4 tested with hardcore game modes, and no one really used it. It was something that I think they tested out in BO4 to see if people were even interested. And I think despite what a small majority of people wanted to see, pretty much no one used it. I think it could be something that's useful, but it has to be incentivized. It has to give players more than just like a harder experience. I think we're in a very dopamine receptive like environment nowadays.
Right.
So a lot of people really like you need to be rewarded to do stuff. That's what influences a lot of people. Oh my goodness.
I think so for sure. And it's kind of unfortunate because the attention spans due to like short form content and things like that are just so drastically
only
different.
made things worse.
Yes, have definitely made things worse, especially when pushing through like some of the longer quests and whatnot that we've had in the past. What do you think about the like model that World War II used, or not World War II? The
notebook system.
Yeah, like the notebook system, but also having like a casual quest and then a hardcore quest. I think there could definitely be some benefit to having a hardcore quest.
Yeah, well, that's what directed mode is for. I think the biggest failing of directed mode in this game is simply just that the main quests aren't more difficult to compensate. Directed mode is great because it's like, oh, good, you mode version of the Easter egg, perfect. But the only issue is they're not really compensating by making the main quest more difficult because directed mode makes it so easy.
Right.
So you have easy Easter eggs with an easy side mode that basically completes the egg for you. So it almost like defeats the purpose of even having that mode in the first.
Yeah, I think there's definitely some improvements that they could make, in my opinion. I just think that some of the main like core maps this year have just been so easy. Yes. Like the only real challenge in Black Ops 6, in my opinion, that took me like more than one try was Tomb's final boss fight.
Yes, Tomb's boss fight, literally, yeah. Pretty much everyone struggled with that.
Right, which I don't think they should change it at all, personally. Oh my god.
No. Oh, I got you, homie.
Yeah, I don't think they should change it at all, personally, and yet they've nerfed it. I think twice now. But
they only nerfed it once. They just nerfed the stun that the enemies did, which I think is probably the only part of the boss. Where are you? Top ship, bottom ship?
I'm top ship. Yeah, I was trying to get into the room with you, and then it got dangerous.
Is there a way to get in from up here?
No. I just went up here because I was down below, and I couldn't get in.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, because I locked it off because I was doing the lockdown.
Yeah, you were doing the lockdown, so... Are the pipe pieces up in there still?
I already got one of them down. There's only one left. I can grab it to survive.
Okay.
But
I gotta build up perks again.
Oh, ooh, what's up, buddy? Ah, how'd you grab me?
But yeah, I mean, like, even this boss fight, like, Terminus's boss fight was probably one of the coolest boss fights we've had in a long time.
I know, yeah. And it really helps that, like, it's the Kraken. That feels like a concept that they've been wanting to tackle for so long.
Oh, 100%. I still don't feel like it was that hard. Like, you can go back and play, do the boss fight for, like, really anything that has, like, wipe mechanics. And you're already, just from wipe mechanics alone, in a harder spot. You already put this one down on the right island, right? So
go to the right. Yeah, go back to the mainland. Yeah,
it's just the mainland tunnel one.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
No, I kind of agree with that, but I also think that that comes from a lot of like our own skill. Where like back in the day, we all thought like DE's boss fight in solo was the hardest thing ever. Goraz is the same deal, where it's like, guys, new challenge video. I beat Dryzendrock solo. Like that was a big deal. And
Right.
I just think that the player base has gotten better at the game. Not that the games have gotten easier per se. Like for example, I think there are a ton of people who struggle with Patient 13. But at the same time, if we were doing Patient 13 now and it was like 2015, I don't think it would be something that we would be able to do very easily. I think knowledge and skill is power, and I think that shows in our community's ability to conquer pretty much any challenge.
That's pretty fair. And I do think like a new player coming into a zombies experience for their first time ever, trying to take on Patient 13 probably would be like a considerable challenge.
Yeah. And I do think that they do consider us as hardcore players. I'm not saying that hardcore players don't deserve their own way to do it. And I think that's where a hardcore and a, softcore Easter egg could really benefit from that. Where there's an easy mode version that pretty much like that's the one that we all play through right now, and then there's a hardcore quest that gives you like extra Easter egg dialogue, the outro cutscene,
Right. You get the big
reward.
achievement or the big calling card for it, right?
Yeah, that's where you get the big calling card for it. And that's where it would really benefit from like having an alternate main quest where it's like, you can do this one. Great, this is on par with what directed mode does. But now there is a much more difficult one to go through if you choose to look for it, if you choose to look for it online, and like you're rewarded with more difficult stuff.
Right, 100%. I definitely agree. I think there's, a clear benefit across the board to giving people more of a challenge as like better end game content. And you never know. We still have several maps to come out. There could be some really challenging maps coming up. But they also could be doing something more end game derivative after all the maps are out, when like completing a flawless super Easter egg. Something like that. I could see them giving us more of a reward than they have in the past, because it's something that the community has talked about really wanting for a long time, is better rewards for completing the super Easter egg and having an Easter egg completion on every map. And I think Treyarch is definitely wanting to lean into that, especially with the tweets that they've put out about how Lee Ross's super Easter egg completion and finale was like one of the best things, and that they're coming for him. Like, I think that there's some hint that they have something in the works there.
I hope so too. But do you mind if I actually ask a question to get a topic going real quick?
Of course.
Yeah, so something that I thought about a lot recently too was like, what are the developers actually able to accomplish? And this was brought up to me recently because before the game launched in September, Brian Toohey, who's one of the game's music directors, someone asked him if he was going to do a music player, which, if you don't know, in Cold War there was a music player that gave you let you listen to the music in the main menu. It was really cool. It was something that a lot of players really liked, and he even mentioned that, yeah, we want to do that actually if time allows. It won't be available at launch, but here we are all the way in March and it still hasn't been added. So it's something that they know that a lot of players really liked and that they want to do, but they haven't done it. And I think that a lot of developers are just simply stressed. And I think it's a real shame. A lot of their ambitions for what they want to do with this game are really being strangleholded by zombies just being in a franchise that doesn't want to support it sometimes.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said about that. Especially, are you good doing Buoy solo?
Oh, I'm fine.
Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure. I think there's definitely a lot that could be said about that, and that point, especially with Black Ops 7 being the title, or, it might not be the title, but it is a Black Ops game coming out in 2025. Treyarch's got, a whole another, additional game to be developing right now, in the shortest amount of time they've ever had, because they've, for whatever reason, the other studios are not putting out a game this year, and Black Ops, or Treyarch, is the developer that's putting out the next Call of Duty title.
For some reason.
Which, that definitely could play into why we're getting the content that we're getting right now, is because they're also working on another full game. Without a 4-year development cycle.
Yeah, like, especially if the rumors are true that there's gonna be carry forwards, so, like, you can play, like, the old maps on BO7 now, like BO6 maps. I don't know. It's weird. You have like 2 years worth of the game development now being paid for 2 separate times.
Right.
Like
It's
stuff that's just like really scummy and like very clearly just trying to get your bottom dollar out of you.
right. No, and I think it's been pretty apparent to everybody that Activision's not going to let Call of Duty go a single year without releasing a new title. I don't
The one
think.
time they said they were going to, they went back on that. I think it was
Right.
during MW 2 or 3.
Yeah, it was MW2 or 3. They were going to live service one of those titles for an additional year and then decided not to. And I don't think we'll ever see Call of Duty go to a live service model when they can get, $60 new dollars from their entire fan base every year, because we're still going to buy the games and still going to play what they provide.
Like I
Do you need help
calculated it with a buddy
Bomb Step?
recently. I'll let you know if I need help. Bomb Step. I calculated it recently. So for example, Cold War sold 30 million copies, which for $70 that made them $1.5 billion.
Right. Great. Like, I don't know how you could want more profit margin from that,
I'll need your help, by the way.
Yeah, I'm coming in.
Right. I forgot. It's not like Solo where like the bombs like go down after a moment, whereas in Solo like they do.
You guys still have Group Shot on, maybe?
Just that one bomb on the bottom should be good.
Okay, going down.
But yeah, so gonna be an interesting year or two for zombies.
Right.
We're gonna find out where all this development is going, what they're doing, how they're gonna support player bases, and it's not looking the brightest.
Unfortunately, and I think they really are trying to split their time, because they do have the next title coming out as well, and I think that's leading to us getting a lot of this half-baked content that we've been talking about throughout this conversation. Because they're also half-baking another game's content, which I think is another issue entirely. I think we're going to see a lot of the same stuff in Black Ops 7. I don't feel like it's going to feel like a new title. It's going to feel like Black Ops 6.5 is how I'm predicting it right now. Just based on what we're receiving at the moment. So, directed mode is something that they brought out and something that we've talked about a little bit today. What do you think it's accomplishing its goals and getting people into zombies the way that they thought? Or is it something that people do once, complete an Easter egg, and that's it? Because they definitely have reported that directed mode has been successful and that people are completing the Easter eggs.
Yes. I think it is doing what they wanted to do. I just don't think it's... Yeah, I think what you said was pretty true, that like people are doing it for the reward, they're doing it to like experience it, and then nothing more than that. Again, I think people want to be constantly rewarded for doing these Easter eggs, and I can understand that metric. And I think some really good ideas would be like offering skins for completing it multiple times, extra calling cards for doing it like flawlessly, different like challenges that you can do that give you like a skin for a weapon, and like like for example, if you beat it with like pistols only, then you can unlock like a pistol charm. I think that would really incentivize people to like go for Easter eggs. Like in NWZ, the worst piece of content was the Unstable Rift. And you know what? People played the Unstable Rift because it rewarded them with a camo.
Right. No,
No
I
matter
think
how bad the content is, the camo drove a lot of people out for it.
I think the reward system is something that definitely will drive people to play the game, but I don't think it's something that's going to make them like an undeniable fan of the franchise.
Yeah, it makes it a checklist. It makes it like, oh, I need to do this now.
Right.
I need to, beat Terminus 50 times.
Whereas, like, for a lot of us in the community right now that have been, playing zombies and loving zombies for the last, 12 plus years, what got me into the zombies community and into this franchise was their just incredible storytelling. I think the story is something that will, like, let me take it back a second. So challenges will get people to play your game. Story will get people to love your game.
Yes.
And I don't think that a lot of the people that have completed the Liberty's Falls Easter egg, or their first ever Easter egg with directed mode, I don't think a lot of them are going to be falling in love with the franchise because of that experience.
No, it doesn't help too that like Liberty Falls, for example, doesn't really have a story to tell. You're a random strike team on a random map. You help a random scientist, and you launch you in the dark ether, and there's not a single connection to be made on the entire map for you as a person.
Correct. I think that's a big tell that people are doing it more for calling cards and rewards than anything else. Which I think if they really want to keep this going and want people to be as in love with zombies as we had been, like they need to come up with some kind of, better way to tell the story to these new people so that they can understand where the hardcore community's been coming from for all this time.
Yeah. Like when I first started with zombies, I was 10 years old during BO1, and I could not play the game to save my life because my older brother played it, and I wanted to play with him, and I sucked at it. So what I did was I just looked up the story, and I thought it was really interesting. It kept me engaged. I wanted to know what was going on. I would watch like really, really old Mr. Dalek JD videos, and they were some of the most produced videos of all time. But you know what? It meant a lot to me to like try and like get engaged with this world I thought was super interesting, even if I couldn't play it.
No, I think
And
that's
yeah,
100%.
I think stories that foundation. We're not seeing that foundation, whether they're being rushed, whether it's just quality, whether they're having issues writing it. I don't know. Hey, you know what? The story might just flat out suck, and they're trying their hardest at it. We don't know, but yeah, story's foundation. I want to see that improved. And I think like BO6 have been really dropping the ball. Like during my review that I'm writing, that's always the first thing that I talk about, is how disappointed I am with the story on each map.
I think it's the first thing that everybody has to talk about, especially if you've been invested in the story for as many years as we have.
Yes. It doesn't help that a lot of Cold War's main characters are all built off the backs of the intel system. So if you didn't look at the intel system in Cold War, you have no reason to assume why you should ever get attached to these characters. Most people just think Weaver is still that guy from BO1, and they don't understand why a campaign character is in zombies.
Right.
Cold War.
Yeah, I think it's probably their biggest challenge to overcome in the upcoming months, is really getting people re-engaged into the narrative. I mean, the ending of this map specifically was something that actually full-heartedly pulled me in. I was so excited to see that Chaos was coming back because of where we had been left on it for so long. So there was so much excitement, so much build-up, and then they lost me like so fast. So I think it's safe to say that story has got to be their number one focus in the months to come. So recently, we actually had a little bit of a silent discussion on Twitter with you retweeting Tim the Tatman's old post about a standalone zombies title that has everything we've ever had. Oh, is it Tim Hansen? That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Tim the I do a lot of Marvel Rival stuff. Tim Hansen talking about a full standalone zombies title where they leave it all out on the field. Is that something that you think that they should pursue? Or is
not at all. I was just curious to see what people's conversation about that would have been.
And what was the general consensus?
Most people did not like the idea. They thought it was very limiting, and most people just would rather see zombies still try, because then let's say the last game isn't to your liking, then well that's it. You get nothing else. Game's over.
Gotcha.
I think there's a lot of people would rather it keep going, even if they're not fans of it, just to keep waiting and seeing if it'll turn to something that's cool.
Yeah, no, I think there's a benefit to both sides. I could see zombies going out with a bang being really cool, but I'm a big custom zombies fan. I'm a big fan of customs, and I think that one final zombies title that has canon content, but also has really in-depth mod tools could be. I would be satisfied with leaving it like that rather than seeing another Vanguard come out. But
yeah,
obviously, knowing Call of Duty, we're not going to get that.
No, because I think they realized pretty quickly that BO3 eats into their sales every year. Why would you buy new zombies when old zombies is still there, and it has customs that will last you forever.
Right.
People have made their entire livelihoods off of custom zombies, so why would they ever go to the new stuff?
Exactly. Well, and I mean, they still make $60 off every purchase. It's still a full price game because of it, but
Absolutely.
yeah,
So,
I mean, they're definitely not going to do that, but I'm just curious to see what your thoughts on it would be.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, let me ask you then. What do you think then? So, as a big fan of custom zombies, then for a lot of people, BO3 is their end. Like that's their perfect zombies game. It has customs on it. It's like characters went out with a bang. Then what does zombies still continue for you then past BO3?
It does, because I'm hopeful that there is something else like you were mentioning. But if they had not made another zombies since BO3, I would be pretty satisfied.
Okay, so then would you say dissatisfaction comes from them continuing, or?
I think it comes from them deciding to continue without while knowing that Activision's not going to let them really do what they want to do. Because I fully believe that the developers at Treyarch and even the other studios, Infinity Ward and Sledgehammer, I think those developers have so much that they want to do as far as like a passion project in zombies goes, where I think the audience and the players at home would have a significantly better experience. But I think they're also heavily limited to pushing Warzone mechanics, so that transferring people over to Warzone and profiting higher is something that they're easily able to do. Like I feel like that's kind of where my issue comes from, and where my dissatisfaction comes from, is that Activision hinders the developers so much that we don't ever get a fully polished product. And if that's how it's going to be forever now, I would probably be more satisfied with Black Ops 3 being the last.
Yeah, so it's not even just like them making content, it's more just like them kind of masquerading and puppeteering the name of the franchise. Even if the developers are passionate about it, it's just like taking advantage of that and like community goodwill.
Right.
That better games have rightfully earned.
Oh yeah, I think it causes a lot of discourse and a lot of issues in the community.
Yeah.
I also think it leads to developers being very wrongfully accused and blamed for like failed projects. Like,
ooh, yes.
I think that the community like really, and I'm part of this. I hate Vanguard Zombies. I think it was terrible. But I don't think the developers are the ones to blame. I mean, they pulled Treyarch off of a project to help another studio come out with the zombies when they were already struggling to make their own game. And then they make a mediocre product that nobody's happy with, and then people blame the developers. I think really a lot of people just need to learn that Activision is a publisher and that they're the ones that are causing all of the problems, and it's usually not the development teams.
I mean, the biggest thing is, especially like, people like to find scapegoats and they just like to find people to blame. Usually the one who gets thrown under the bus a lot is Kevin Drew. Now, granted, Kevin Drew, doesn't always make the decisions that are the best, and I can absolutely understand that. But I think a lot of people would just rather find the scapegoat and, oh, this is a bad Kevin Drew idea.
Yeah.
Because he's the only one that they can pretty much put a name to the face for.
No, 100%.
Yeah. Whereas, like, let's say it's like, Corky Lamuka or like, Leslie Miles.
Or like,
what if that was, you can't tell because, that's just kind of the way the game development works. There's so many different hands, like wheels in the cog.
Right.
That, like, it's hard to truly decipher who does what causes what.
Right. Well, and, like, I guess the opposite could be said is we don't know if the developers do have a say in what we're getting. I mean, I do think a lot of it does come down to the publishers, but I think that we're wrongfully blaming human beings for crappy products, when I think a lot of the decisions that are being made by the publishers, having Treyarch stop development on their own game to help other studios develop their games, and vice versa, like, I think all of that has a lot to tie into the products that we've been receiving over the last few years.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I mean, that's a lot about the current state of zombies. It looks bleak, and by our conversation, we both kind of feel it. That's not to say I don't think that they could pull off a huge win. I mean, a lot of this year has been a huge win. Even through Citadel, I think Citadel, from a purely gameplay standpoint, is a great map. I had so much fun, and I think that they definitely could pull it off, especially bringing back like Richthofen, the Wunderwaffe, and now with the leaks with the Reagan Mark II being back in the game. Like, there's a lot of nostalgia items that could add for fun elements, and I guess we'll just have to wait and see for the rest of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a lot of like things stewing the pot, and we're going to see how that's going to affect the whole game by the end of the season. So it's going to be a very interesting year for zombies, that's for sure.
Definitely. I think it's going to be more interesting than Vanguard was for its life cycle.
Yeah, definitely.
Going away from like the current state of zombies, I do have other questions that I'd like to talk to you about.
Yeah, real quick though, checkpoint. How far are you setup-wise?
Setup-wise, I am PAP 2 on my primary, PAP 1 on my secondary, and my primary is almost gold.
Okay, yeah, don't even PAP your secondary, just PAP your primary at this point.
Yeah, definitely gonna focus on the primary. I'm gonna be going for gold rarity, and then, do you want PAP 3 or do you want to go PAP 2?
I already got PAP 3. I already PAP 3 gold.
Okay, so I need to get PAP 3 gold, and then I should be alright.
Yep.
My down cost me a lot of points.
Oh, yeah.
So you mentioned earlier that your introduction to zombies was it 10 years old for Black Ops 1? Watching your brothers play, what about zombies piqued your interest so much during that time?
Yeah, I get asked this a lot by my just family. Like, they always ask me if I'm into zombie media, and not really, no. I think the most interesting thing about zombies, it's the story, it's the world, it's these crazy secrets and Easter eggs that the game doesn't want you to find, but they're there for you to find. It's this interesting lore that was never really connected, and it was up to you to put the pieces together. It was this big community aspect, and it was like watching people who had already investigated it during World at War, and I was like watching people pick up, like, I was picking up those pieces and trying to like figure it out with them at the time. And I thought that was super cool. I thought the gameplay style was really cool, super unique. I thought the gameplay loop was also super unique. I'm also 10, so I have no standard. Here we are. I'm 24, and I still have no standard for how games should be made. But regardless, I think that zombies had always had me intrigued from day one.
That's fair. I mean, I'm kind of in the same boat. I was also, young, playing Call of Duty. Black Ops 1 was my first ever Call of Duty title. And I remember beating the campaign and being thrown into 5 with 5's iconic intro cutscene. And I was so scared. I just remember being absolutely terrified because I was so young and just didn't know what was going on. And then, so I took a break, didn't play zombies again for a little while, and then come Black Ops 2, during pretty much the release of Origins, and I guess Mob of the Dead as well, is really what sucked me in. Got so enveloped in the story and the Easter egg and puzzle solving and all of that stuff. So it's really cool. All right. Because we're not on Voyage, do you want to go through and tell me why it's your favorite map?
Yeah, so I love Voyage of Despair. I think it's a fun map. It's just super intriguing. I love all the cinematics on it. I got really engaged in the Chaos storyline. I'm a big fan of mythology and old history, so it really connected with me there. I thought the creatures on it were really cool. I thought the concepts on it were really cool. It's a map that I've never had a bad time on. And what really solidified it for me was that it was the first map I'd ever completed the egg solo on. It was a week-long endeavor where I spent every night giving the, I gave the egg an attempt. I would give it 1 or 2 attempts, and I would try and get as far as I could. I was okay at Easter eggs when during BO 2 and 3, but usually it was only because I had a team with me. I'd have, basically, I needed bodyguards to carry me through the egg because my own skill alone wasn't enough.
Right.
It felt easier with other people. It was like you could rely on other people, whereas in solo, the only person you're relying on is yourself. And Voyage, what made that special was that it was a victory that I had earned, and it was something that really meant a lot to me. So it's always a map that's stuck out of my mind because of that unique experience, and it's just always kept the ball rolling by being something that was fun, being something that never felt not accessible to me, which is funny because I'd say Voyage is arguably one of the least accessible maps in the series to most players.
Oh, 100%.
So
And I,
yeah,
I
so
hadn't completed it until recently. Go figure.
yeah, go figure. So it was just a map that, like, through a very specific circumstance, became special to me in a way that makes it unique, in a way that no one else could take away from me.
That's fair. I think that's a big
Yeah.
part of like why Origins is so big for me. I mean, not only that, like the story aspects of Origins were incredible, but
Mm,
man, beating that Easter egg for the first time after like hours and hours and hours of grinding, because that was my
yes.
first ever Easter egg that I completed, and
Oh,
like
nice.
the feeling of beating that Easter egg was incredible. I think it's a feeling that
Mm,
not a lot of people experience in other industries or like other
yeah.
niches. Like your first ever battle royale win is never going to be as satisfying as your first solo zombies Easter egg completion. So
I totally agree.
I
Um,
definitely think you're on the right track with that being the reason why Voyage is your favorite.
yeah, because there's definitely a lot of things wrong with it. And I would not say it's a good map by any stretch of the mean, but it's something that's always resonated with me.
Yeah,
And
it's totally fair.
yeah, I hope that people are getting that out of the newer stuff too. Like, I hope that like this creates like memories for them, and that, like, like someone who struggles on Terminus, like that becomes their favorite map because of it.
I do think that it is working, not necessarily in the exact same way, but people are still getting a similar experience. One of my friends that's never been big into zombies beat Terminus with me, like our first day on this game, and
Hmm.
his reaction to the boss fight and like completing an Easter egg was, it was up there. It was compared to somebody beating like DE for the first time. Like
Yeah.
he was stoked. He was very excited and was like, "Man, zombies is really cool." And I was like,
Hmm.
"Man, we gotta go play some of the old maps because you have no idea." you
Yeah.
know?
I mean, that's what I like about zombies though, is that even in entries that, like, I know a lot of people consider lesser, what makes zombies special to me is that, like, everything in the franchise pretty much gives me that exact feeling where it's like, man, I just completed Terminus. Man, I gotta go play DE now. Or, man, I just
Right.
did Voyage to Despair. I gotta go do some Spaceland after this. Like,
I don't know. I
it's
don't
this
know if
really
I hit
unique
the space
relationship.
line itch, but
Yeah, but
maybe one day.
it's something that makes the series super unique to me personally, is that, like, every aspect of it has always felt special. Like, even just recently, I just thought of, like, every year I love going into, like, my memories and just thinking about, like, what was the first week on a zombies game like to me? And that memory is usually invoked by the round change music. So I was just thinking about it, hanging out. I thought about the Terminus round change music, and I thought back to that first week of Black Ops 6 and how special that week was, how awesome it was. First time I ever took it off work for, like, a game and got the leave approved. It was a lot of fun, made some videos on it, got to hang out with the community. It was a really cool moment. And I
Right.
know that, like, these games let a lot of people down, and I totally understand that. But zombies has always felt special to me. It's always felt different. It's never felt like every entry feels fresh, no matter how bad or interesting that they are. And it's something that always sticks with me, like, every time I play a new entry.
That's fair. And it's definitely a game where like regardless of what your situation or what your mood is, like you can always jump into a round of zombies and just chill
Yeah.
out, have a good time. Like a lot of my friends use zombies and myself included as like a break from competitive or ranked games. Like
Yes.
this is
Absolutely. It's
a
like, yeah,
good
dude, this
like
sucked. Let's play a round of zombies now. Let's just
yep.
cool off for a bit.
Yeah, 100%. It's something that we've done
Yeah.
forever, and I think
Mhm.
it's something that you definitely can still do. But yeah, I feel like honestly, this game you can be like, hey, let's cool off. Let's go do an Easter egg speedrun on Liberty Falls or on Terminus. Like you can do a lot more during your cool off session than you would have
Yes.
previously, which I do
Which is
think
something
is
that I've
a
noticed.
a benefit to the way that this game is structured because like you can do the Easter egg on Liberty Falls in less than 30 minutes. Get a calling card for it.
Mhm. Yeah.
So you can spend 30 minutes, complete an Easter egg, cooled off, ready to jump into your next game of ranked. You know?
Yeah. It's something that I've noticed a lot with how they develop these games, where it's like zombies, especially in this entry, has gotten so quick that you can get to, like, round 30 in literally 30 minutes. That's if you're being slow. I know we're not really proving that right now because we're an hour into the match on around 30, but
Yeah,
not the
but
point.
we've been doing other stuff
Egg
too.
stuff, talking, yeah. Where it's like, but they definitely sped up the game for that exact reason, so that people who jump into multiplayer go, man, I want to play something that's a bit longer, but not too much of a commitment. So that's what Zombies is becoming now.
Right. Well, and
Zombies
especially
was
for the solo
absolutely this
player.
long commitment. Yes, yeah.
The pause save and quit feature, the pause feature, like save and quit specifically is like the best quality of life adjustment they've ever put into this mode, and I will die on that
100%.
hill all the time.
Totally agree.
I don't think there's a better decision that they could have made this year other than the save and quit in solo.
Yeah.
And it's led to some really cool things, like some of the highest rounds we've seen in a long time. So really cool there. We talked a little bit about directed mode. Do you think that if this was your first experience with zombies, that directed mode would have enveloped you or sucked you into the game as much as your experiences initially? Like, do you think you would be as big of a fan of Call of Duty right now if directed mode was your first experience?
Yeah, like, let's say, this is like, BO2 days, Stanley557's first getting into zombies for like the first time. Directed mode is in like Origins, because that's something he's want to do. And you know what? I think so. A big part of what made like zombies so intimidating to me was that now granted, it's also what made it such a big love for me, but it was that like the game was so intimidating. It was so difficult to get into. I was at a birthday party once with buddies, and we loaded up BO2, and we all tested who could get to the farthest on Buried. And it was me, and I got to round 7, because we only had one controller, so we were all playing solo. It was me. I got to round 7, and I was scared out of my mind to the point where I ended the game prematurely because I couldn't handle the stress of being any higher than round 7 on Buried.
Well, round 7 is the industry standard, unfortunately.
Apparently, yeah.
Yeah, apparently most people never get past round 7, so...
Yeah. So, I think directed mode, I think it actually would help me. But I can't really say for sure. I would like to say it would be fun. That would be something that I would like really look into.
It's fair.
But I don't know.
It's kind of hard to tell because it's so different,
Yes. A big part of my experience with zombies was that like I got into it. I played easy mode Origins. I played it in solo because I couldn't do it in normal. I built the staffs, and then I learned that you couldn't do the Easter egg. So eventually I had to venture out, and I had to go into normal mode to try the Easter egg.
Right.
And you know what? I still couldn't do it.
Yep. It's a challenging one, dude.
Yeah, it wasn't until years later where I like came back to it solo, did it, and it was fun.
Oh yeah. I think
but again, that's made by the unique circumstance of the game being difficult.
Right. And I think I have an opposite take. Obviously I don't think I can say for sure because I can't put myself back into 10-year-old me playing zombies for the first time and learning about an Easter egg through a guided mode. But knowing who I am, just as a person, I think I would have been turned off by it not being a challenge.
Yeah, totally fair.
I think that the way that I learn zombies is the reason that I love it as much as I do. And I don't think anything could change that. I don't know if that's making a whole lot of sense.
It does, but let me ask you, for argument's sake, it's like, at the end of the day, you press the buttons that you click. So, or you play the buttons that you press, something like that. But the idea being is that if you didn't want to play directed mode, it's not like the game forces it on you. That's your decision to make if you didn't feel like that you were up to the challenge of it. But I do understand that idea though. But with that option there though, let's say you give into it and then it's not satisfying doing directed mode, so then it feels like a waste of time.
Yeah, see, that's kind of how I feel like it would have been, because it would have been like, oh, I want to learn the Easter egg, and then I would have done it, and I'd been like, that wasn't that good. Especially if it was a map like Duranfong or something that I was trying to solve with the directed mode. I don't think I would have ever touched zombies again.
Yeah.
So
totally fair.
I think it's situational, but I do think that struggling through it, especially because I'm a Dark Souls guy at heart, I just think struggling through it resonates with me significantly more.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think gaming can become so infantilized that we kind of lose the point by making things too easy and too simple. You can end around, by the way. By making it too easy.
Yeah, I'm
Too
coming
easy and
down
too simple.
to. I think I'm ready. I only have 4
What,
perks, but I have tier 3 plates and tier 3 pep. So
what perks you got? Jug, stamina, speed cola.
jug, quick revive or not quick revive. Jug, speed cola, elemental pop, and dead shot.
I'd say get a speed cola and we can go another round if we need to.
So I have speed cola, but I can go get stamina up.
Yeah, go get stamina up. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We can go one round if we have to.
That's fine. Yeah. I mean, I still have plenty of
But-
questions, so.
Yeah, true, true. Here, okay. All right, ready when you're. End round.
I think there's only a mangler on me. I'm just running up to grab stamina up real quick.
Gotcha.
Do you think Infinity Ward and Sledgehammer should stay away from zombies?
Not at all. Experimentation is the spice of life, and you only get more creative ideas. You get different ideas. As much as I have issues with IW in World War II and Raven's Exos, I still really enjoy the experimentation, even if they're not my favorite modes. I don't hate I don't hate their ideas. I think that they're creative still. They provide new perspectives, and they also don't take away from Treyarch and allow another developer to work on the mode while Treyarch works on their bread and butter.
I think so long as Treyarch isn't being forced to help them with their titles, it's fine.
Yes.
But
yeah, absolutely.
frequently over the last few years, Treyarch has been forced to work on the other development teams, titles for them. To help them out, which is, I mean, I get it. It's they got to put out the finished product. But for me,
it's just really disheartening.
For me, I think like IW's Extinction was awesome, and I really enjoyed it.
I love Extinction, dude.
I think that they absolutely should have focused on Extinction and tried to flesh it out, or at least something similar, rather than copying zombies and doing the zombies format that Treyarch is so known for. I think Extinction, and if they had continued experimenting with that or something similar to it, it would be in a significantly better place. But it would be something that gives the community a good solid break from zombies, because we have been getting it every year, and I feel like that could be a part of why people aren't as satisfied, is that we do get zombies every year.
5 entries in 6 years does something to a community, dude. 100%.
Right, 100%. So if we had something from each studio that was better than survival, like Extinction or some other third-party mode, I think like a dinosaur mode could be really cool.
Ooh, yeah. But like get creative, get wacky with it.
Right, 100%.
Like that's what's really gonna make COD stand out, because I feel like one of COD's bigger issues too is that they're trying to copy trends, and that's really shooting them in the foot constantly.
Oh, full-heartedly.
Where it's like,
the live service model.
You're trying to be like live service, yeah.
I think it causes a lot of issues, and it leads to them not being original anymore. I feel like a lot of the originality is gone from the franchise. They're leaning into a lot of these trends, like you were talking about, and people are just kind of feeling cheated. Back in the day, COD was a great innovator back in the day. I mean, them creating zombies just as a side project for fun game mode that the developers wanted to play.
Yeah.
Like that's where magic comes from, and they're definitely not doing that at the moment. So
100%.
So with our current narrative, and how they've been telling the story, do you still think that the Weaver story is more interesting than
no,
original
not right
crew?
Now. Sadly not, because they haven't been doing a whole lot with it that makes it interesting. I was listening to some of the intel recently. Like, one of my favorite pieces of intel is on, I think it's Outbreak, but it's referencing the events of Firebase C. And it's Weaver walking into an operator room trying to console a damaged Sam. And it's this wonderfully written conversation about Weaver, the people that he's hurt, the people that trust him, and it's this really intricate dialogue where at the end of the day, Samantha and him are bitter at each other. They're angry, and the voice acting is delivering on all fronts. But then in BO6, I'm not getting that. I'm getting 15 minutes of operator quotes that make Weaver feel like any other operator, like Stone or, you know,
Right.
The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely has less personality in this game than he did in Cold War, which is crazy considering that we have a set crew this year.
Like, yes, and that's fine if if you have the main cast lines are like a little hokey and weird, that's fine. But in slower moments, they don't really seem to capture that writing either. Characters are always talking like this and yelling at each other, and we're trying to make sure you don't get bored of us. And it's a lack of confidence in the character.
Oh, 100%. I just think they don't know what they're doing with them narrative-wise.
Yeah. I mean, like, Weaver should be this broken, like, unable to fight guy. You don't know, by the way. Right. Unable to fight guy. And, like, Carver should be the one taking up the leadership, picking up the pieces, and really helping his buddy through a tough time. Which we see in one of Citadel's intels, but it's the only piece of intel that really captures that idea. And it's such an outlier.
Right. No, 100%.
So yeah. It's sad because I think that like these characters could be really engaging, but they're just not sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. Especially with, you know, like the Tomb and even Citadel had some pretty rough story elements that we've pretty much gone over. That's pretty much all of my Stanley questions. I do have some questions about YouTube because I know that there are people that are going to be watching this that maybe are interested in starting a channel in 2025 and you know, maybe even in the zombie space, even with everything going on. What advice would you have for them, and what keeps you inspired?
Yeah, the main advice that I can give, that I've given pretty much anyone that I've ever talked to, make content that you want to watch. If you don't want to watch your content, why would someone else want to watch it? And, like, sure, you know, you could be, like, figuring out a secret sauce that, like, people really like, and that's great. But, you have to make sure that's something that I think at the end of the day, I think you come first as a viewer, and it's evident if you're not interested in your own videos.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, and then what keeps me motivated is that it's fun. It's a great pastime. I get to interact with so many amazing people I never would have been able to interact with otherwise. And I get to share my unlimited passion for this series.
Yeah. No, I think that's totally fair. I mean, we wouldn't have been able to talk for 4 hours if we weren't both doing content, so...
Yeah, literally.
And 4 hours being... You know, I guess this was an hour and a half, not 4 hours. What am I talking about? Anyways, how do you regularly celebrate milestones?
Yeah, I celebrate milestones with my family. I celebrate it with my buddies, but really that's about it. I don't really celebrate it a whole lot because milestones are really cool, but I just have fun making the content. And if a milestone comes and goes, that's great. At the end of the day, this is a hobby for me, and I really would never be able to take it full time. So I treat it like a hobby. I have to. If not, I'll get too invested in it. And I just don't have the time, the health, the ability, the opportunity to, as much as I would love to.
Right.
But I know that there are a ton of people out there who would do a great job being content creators, who are passionate, who love it, who are smart, who are funny. And if you can just kind of mix all those traits together, you can, not easily, it comes with a infinite amount of risk and challenge, but if you can push through that and persevere, you can make something really special that resonates with a lot of people.
Oh, I full-heartedly agree. I think that some of the coolest things that have happened in my life over the last, 5 years have happened in the last 8 months on YouTube, and like reaching out to people that I never would have talked to and otherwise. The different interactions that I've had with people in the community for something that I've been so passionate about for so long has been really cool. And just learning new social skills and like applicable skills for job industry and anything else like that has been something that I think I took for granted early on. But as I've learned over the last several months that I can apply a lot of what I'm learning to my job, and I can apply a lot of what I'm doing for my job to what I do on YouTube. So
yeah,
very cool.
Like I literally got my job by just basically being like, YouTube helped me with my confidence. It helped me with my ability to talk to people. It really helped me by having a definable physical thing on my resume. that someone could look at and they could go, wow, he's dedicated to something that's important to him.
Right.
And that speaks a lot to people, especially when it's something that's like cool, when it's something that's interesting, when it's something that like engages people.
Oh, 100%. It makes a huge difference.
Yeah. So I'd say, like, even if you're pulling in 0 viewers, I'd say for YouTube, do it for yourself first.
Oh yeah, I will.
Because
And just learning how to communicate in this way and like talk to a camera and all of that stuff it's so invaluable. Like people don't understand that, don't do it, but it can help you in every aspect of your life.
Yes, because the minute, like, you know, it can be really easy, but if you turn on a camera, it might not be as easy as it seems. And if it is, then hey, maybe you have secret talent for it. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe it's something that you were born to do. Do it.
Yeah, who knows?
Definitely. All right, let's see. Kind of talked about everything that I had on my list. I guess, if not zombies, being that you're like a narrative-driven guy, and like story. If not zombies, what do you think you would gravitate towards?
I can't really tell you. Zombies has been a part of my life for so long at this point. Longer than I've been alive. Not longer than I've been alive, but longer than over half my life at this point. I've been playing zombies for over 15 years now. I have been playing it longer than I haven't been playing it, if that makes sense.
No, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's no other games that come to mind that you would cover content on?
No, I'm a very focus-minded person. I have something in mind that I want to talk about. I have something in mind that I really like, and that pretty much shows in everything that I do. Where food that I eat, I have very specific food that I like, music that I listen to. You're not going to catch me listening to a Spotify shuffle. I'm going to be pulling up my same 7 soundtracks that I really like, and half of them are zombies, so...
That's fair. Very cool.
So that's my mentality, and that's the big thing too about YouTube. You gotta have a certain mentality for it too. You gotta like be willing to commit, willing to grind for it, and you have to really like what you do. YouTube, like, you know, especially if you want to go hard on YouTube and like whatever content you're covering, that doesn't really disappear in a day. Or like, you know, like hard work. You know, you gotta be at it every day.
Definitely.
And you got to do day after day in the lulls and the high periods. And I noticed that like in down periods for zombies, you notice a lot of people who aren't as committed to it as they think that they are. They can be tested. I think when people are tested, they'll find that they're not as engaged as long as they think that they are. So,
yeah, no, I think that's very fair.
To watch people who are YouTubers and see how they react to this kind of stuff.
Definitely. I think it would make some really interesting conversation to see, like, you know, some of the other people in the community talk about the same topic, because I'm just really curious to pick like Dalek's brain or something. You know, would be really interesting.
Yeah, especially people who've been around forever, people who have fallen out of love with it. Like, that'd be really cool to see.
Definitely. You know, I feel like I'm in one of those trial periods right now. Like part of me starting my channel back up was around the hype that Black Ops 6 had for its launch, and like being super excited to, you know, see if they can revive the franchise this year, finally, like, if they can do what we've been wanting them to do. And then, you know, like, we got some good stuff. I don't think it was, like, I should be raving over, but we got good content. And so,
yeah,
like, you know, having it be like that in my mind where I was like, you know, this is cool. Instead of being like, oh my god, I can't believe they're doing this, like, you know, like, my perspective on it changed so much throughout the year, and I feel like it's been way harder for me to make content.
Yes! Hey, welcome to the club. Hey, so you're not stuck behind. Perfect. Because I will need your help killing this guy. Hey, I know we just talked about this earlier, like, how people would, like, react to, like, these, like, oh god, these like other zombies, but like, you know, like especially this boss fight. This boss fight, I'd still say is pretty tough. I really think that we're just in tune with it enough to like.
We've definitely done it a lot more than other people.
Yes, and I'd say this is not easy. Get in the water. Or hide behind something.
Oh shit!
Did bros use a gobble gum?
Bro used.
Oh my goodness!
A whimsical. I wanted to make him. I wanted to make the boss fire. I'm in the water.
Bro pulled indigestion and the fart clouds farted on.
Yeah, pretty much. I got cooked because of it.
Oh, he's about to screen nuke. Tee. They don't die, by the way.
I'm gonna try not to. I was behind the wall. I think I died.
What did I just say? What's he doing here?
Losing apparently.
Oh, it's amalgam. Just kind of standing over you.
That's what they do.
Amalgam. Amalgam's dead. Beat his butt.
Yeah, I don't have armor anymore, but that's okay. Shouldn't need it, right?
He'll be fine. Stopped it. Oh crap. But say, Nathan, I need you to kill some things for us. Watch out, tongue. If you get eaten, it would be really funny, but do not get eaten.
I'm not planning on it.
And he's almost dead. Nice.
Hey, there we go. Challenge completed.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't want to die right at the end of our challenge.
Failed.
Challenge failed because of a whimsical.
And we gotta run it back.
We gotta run it back, and I gotta come up with another hour and a half of interview content.
Yeah, for real.
I don't need this video to be 6 hours long. No, I mean, to put a bow on things, as we kind of like, land the plane a little bit, I think it's safe to say that a lot of the longtime fans of the Zombies community are pretty worried about the rest of the year. I don't think that we're worried the maps are not going to be fun to play. For me, at least, I'm more worried that the story doesn't develop into anything special.
Yeah, I agree. Very worried about that too, but I guess we're going to have to find out together. So
Right.
we're currently in March. We've got another 5 to 6 months of this train ride.
Yeah. Who knows what they try and like add to the story without really fleshing out next. Along with the rest of our conversation, Stanley, it's always fun talking to you. I mean, this is our first time talking. It was a great time.
I agree. Absolutely. It's been my pleasure.
I appreciate you being on. I think that this is a format that I will have a lot of fun with. And it's something that I think making a video on would be significantly less challenging than the rest of content for zombies lately. So,
yeah.
It's something to be excited about. Again, I'm happy to have you here and be chatting with you for, an hour or a couple hours over a couple weeks, but
yeah, no.
Yeah, it's been fun. I'm excited to see what you think after we get it all edited and ready to go.
Can't wait. Yeah, but no, my pleasure. Thank you for having me on, though.
All right. Yeah, cool, man. Well, it's been a pleasure, Stanley. We will go ahead and end our recording there. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, that was my conversation with Stanley557, and let me just say, what an incredible guest to have on. I'm honored that he was willing to do this with me, and I had a great time putting this edit together. Thank you again, Stanley, for the hang, for the zombies matches, and for the good conversation. There's a lot of turmoil going on in the zombies community right now, and I know that we all really hope it's going to go well. I'm not sure we're going to get any definitive conclusions to any of the story arcs that they've started this year. However, I do hope that they take it in a direction that is more fleshed out and a little more methodical. After my conversation with Stanley, we both came to similar conclusions on the standpoint of the entire story situation. So, only time will tell. Now, if you're interested, our first interview and our first conversation is going to play at the end of this video. We do cover a lot of different topics that we didn't talk about in this recording. However, my game audio was just violently loud. So if you can get past that and you want to watch it, there's another hour and a half of content coming up right after I'm done talking here. But to everybody who made it this far into the video, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. If you want to show support to me and Stanley, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, share on all platforms. And Stanley's channel and content is going to be the first link in the description below. I highly recommend that you check him out if you haven't checked him out already. He's got some incredible content that's really thorough and in-depth, and I think you guys will really like it. Anyways, thanks for watching.
Where are we going from here? Where do we go?
Good Lord! Did everyone
All
else
right,
see
here
what
we are.
just happened? Wait, it may just be my
Ladies and
so-called
gentlemen,
senses
welcome
deceiving.
to the first episode
I'll be
of
okay in a
As
minute.
Long As It Takes, a new series on my channel where I invite a guest on to pick a challenge, and then we go through and interview them for as long as it takes us to complete that challenge. And today I am joined by none other than the King of Chaos, or the ringmaster of... Wow. I had it.
You're good. Take your time.
Or the ringmaster of retrospectives, Stanley557. Stanley, thanks for being here. Welcome to
Thank
the
you so
show.
much.
Be killed.
Yeah,
Hang on.
first of all, you got 0 kills in
Iceberg.
round 1.
We
You're
just
already
collided with
behind
a
by
bloody
1,000
great
points.
iceberg.
You're right. You're right.
Well, anyways, hello there, fellow zombie slayers. My name is Stanley557, and thank you so much to Cyclops for bringing me on today. Cyclops gave me the wonderful choice of being able to pick a challenge and what map I wanted to do, and I had to play Voyager's Despair.
I love it, Stanley. This is my first time ever beating the Voyage of Despair Easter egg, and that is the challenge for today. Is the interview is going to go as long as it takes for us to complete that.
Double points.
So I'm super excited to have him, and I have a lot of questions, a lot of things to talk about. And the first thing that we're going to go over
Oh,
is
no.
the
I'm
current
getting
state of
flashbacks,
zombies.
horrible ones at that. It's really starting to
Stanley,
feel like that terrible
a lot of
Cambodia
stuff's
business
going
all
on
over
in the
again.
community right now about voice actors and AI-generated voice. Are we currently cooked?
Bloody hell, that one's gone armless. Interesting strategy.
I think VO6 is a game where if you really break down its current gear and every single bit by bit, like what's going on with the voice actor stuff, like Stan, you have the seemingly AI zombie on double tap. You have there being no new things coming to the game. It's a lot of repeat stuff. You have the mansion coming out, which has been leaked. I think it's very easy to pick apart this game and think of like every single thing that can possibly go wrong with it. 'Cause there's a lot going wrong with it. But when you play BO6, I think BO6 is a ton of fun. I think it's a extremely fantastic game to play.
Kill.
But there's a lot going on, and I don't want to say we're cooked because that just kind of gets into the notion of like, guys, we're so back, it's so over. We're so back, it's so over.
You know,
I'm gonna sit on the fence and say no.
I definitely agree on that standpoint. However, have you seen what's going on with Apex Legends recently? They just had all of their French voice actors leave because EA was requiring them to sign over their voice to AI rights. Is that something that we think we're gonna see in Call of Duty?
Ah, dude, if that's the case, that's. I feel like this is Activision, dude. If they really wanted to, they probably would.
Unfortunate.
It's like, as much as I love BO6, like, you're just like, you can see every corner being cut constantly.
100%. Well, on the bright side, I think they're not gonna get rid of Nolan North regardless of the situation. I think he's a big part of what's carrying this franchise as far as talent and acting goes, and I'm excited to see where it goes from here.
I agree. I think it's just a real shame that Julie Nathanson didn't get the same
That is
luxuries
far
like they were
closer
willing
than
to
I'm
offer
comfortable with.
Whereas Nolan North, they're probably paying him top dollar to keep him on.
Oh, 100%, especially given the current
SAG.
situation. Yep.
Yeah, 'cause he's part of the strike, so it's weird that he's still like, unlike Sam who got replaced almost immediately in Citadel, he has been hurted recently. As yeah.
I don't think they're gonna get rid of him. He has too much history with Call of Duty and just voice acting in general. He's a top dollar star, and I don't think they're gonna get rid of that.
Which is a real shame, because I think Julie is the exact same. Julie has been a part of the franchise since 2008, as long as he has.
Yeah,
He's been,
it's pretty crazy.
He's been the voice of Samantha for about as long as Nolan North's been the voice of Richtofen. So, yeah, I think it's a real shame to see what they're prioritizing to keep.
100%.
Hey, Roman, you want to come upstairs? There's a cool side Easter egg that you should see.
I definitely want to come upstairs. Moving on, because the voice acting situation just frankly makes me sad. Can we expect a map similar to Tomb going forward? Now,
I've been hearing that the mansion might be like the Tomb.
In size or scope, or kind of elaborate on
the
that.
same kind of scope. Like I've been hearing from down the grapevine that like the mansion's looking to be a similar scope size map to the Tomb.
Okay.
Now,
what was your take on Tomb?
I'm currently writing the review on that right now, and there's a lot wrong with that.
That's what I feel like when I eat a curry.
Probably the biggest is like the very it's the weirdly contradictive narrative pieces.
Right.
Which is like a weird thing to say. Also, the narrative really sucks too. It's the biggest issue I have with BO6 so far. The narrative is frankly underbaked. A lot of its ideas. There's too many ideas and not enough exploration of those ideas.
100%.
It doesn't do enough of what it's I'm describing it in the review. Like it's a Jenga tower that's slowly being added onto. It's taking pieces from previous games, different storylines, different elements, and keep stacking them. But the tower is getting weaker because the structural foundation is strong.
Okay. Yeah, I can agree with that. And, you know, I do think that the Tomb works in a survival situation. Like, as a survival map, I think Tomb is really well. Works really
good.
good.
Map. It's easy and quick to get into. It's a lot of fun.
Right.
Two of my biggest gripes are the ice staff upgrade. I think that's not very intuitive.
Agreed.
So,
yes.
Which is a real shame because the map really wants you to think it's intuitive. And then the narrative, which I think is so confusing. Like you have all the stuff with Archibald, you have stuff with the main crew. Like you have Archibald constantly talking to himself. There's supposed to be like 9 characters in the map, and at times it feels like he's the only one that's talking.
Oh, 100%. And I think one of the other big issues for me personally is the ice staff being included in general. I mean,
yeah,
there's not a lot of context on like why it should be there, other than it just happened to be there. Like
it's the ice staff. Like, what do you mean it's the ice staff? Like, what do you mean you know what this is?
Right.
We know what it is because
we played the Ether storyline.
How come there are certain characters that like just know this as the staff of legend?
Right. And I feel like that comes down to a lot of the issues in their writing this year. Unfortunately.
It's this massive chessboard where we just keep adding and taking away different elements, and it's really messy because of it.
Definitely. And I feel like a part of that comes into the mix is the combination of chaos and ether.
Much as I like it.
Yeah, elaborate a little bit more on that.
Yeah, like I wasn't very happy seeing that, but at least chaos is still coming back. And at least it's being told in some shape, way, or form, but it's super underbaked with what elements it wants to take. And it's extremely confusing for a lot of players to the point where people don't even know if the Chaos storyline is canon or if it's simply taking elements from the Chaos storyline and then just putting that into the Dark Ether storyline.
Right.
You guys were?
Yeah. I got you. I think that's a really interesting point to discuss because Chaos and seeing it come back was something that I was actually really excited for. I thought that they really could mesh the worlds together in a creative and interesting way, but it kind of just seems like a jumbled mess of writing at this point.
Like they're really dropping the ball.
It really seems like they could have done something to make it like fit cohesively. And unfortunately, it just doesn't feel cohesive at all. It just feels like they're trying to fit chaos where they want to fit it. And for a lot of fans of the franchise and a lot of fans of Chaos, we all wanted to get an actual conclusion and a good way to end this story and continue the story. And I just don't feel like this direction is the right one, unfortunately.
I completely agree, and I don't. Elements constraints. I don't know if it's just like them not being creative enough with it. It really makes me sad because I'm so happy to see like mentions of Scarlet and Alistair Rhodes is like first talking to us since Dead of the Night.
Right.
But yeah.
Well, and so that brings me to another question. What are your thoughts on the Scarlet skin for Maya?
As a proud owner of that skin due to the free contents that I've accumulated, I get it.
Particular area giving anyone else the willies?
I forget. I'm really.
Or is it just me?
It's Courtney something, Scarlett's voice actress. They probably weren't able to get her back. She's a pristine actress. She does a great job. I doubt they would have ever been able to get her back. I also doubt they even wanted to get her back. This is the plan to just do that. But what a missed opportunity to just like, you have these like this idea of. You could just do any skin that you want, and
right.
you could have like, or you can have like any operator, like non-canon. You could have the entire Primus and Ultimus crew here. People would eat that up, and they haven't done that.
No, 100%. And I feel like part of the issue is they could have just brought Scarlet back as an operator and included her in the storyline. 100%. I mean, we know there's time travel capable within Dark Ether, and Chaos. We know that there's a way that they could cohesively include Scarlet into the storyline.
Like, due to just the way the Sentinel artifacts work, like they pause time. You could just have them stuck in a Sentinel trial and pop out like 80 years later.
Exactly.
Right, pop temporal. I'm gonna pop fire. So.
Enhance me!
Yep, I got you.
Of power!
All right. Yeah. No. Like they could easily do that. So like I don't know if they're just like not going to do it. If they're too afraid to jump into it. By the way, you want Helion, Kraken, Homunculus. Reaver's also really good too. Got Homunculus.
That's great.
And then you're good to end round. So that's when you're ready.
Yeah. I'm just gonna spin box here for a second. Try and get some weapons. So, I feel like we're in agreement that there's some issues with the story, and I don't know if it comes down to writing or time constraints or really what, but what kind of a direction do you think that they should be going in right now?
Yeah, I think they should be finishing up the story of Weaver.
Cabinet of abominations seems to chuck at us.
Weaver and Co have just barely had any time to reform. Compared to like Cold War, which
can I give this back?
Out of.
Is that an option? Can I just pop it back in the box? Hello? Can anyone hear me?
Yeah, that's totally fair. I think the Weaver story is something that they really did well with in Terminus, and it was an incredible map to say the least. But I really think they fell away from their narrative.
Like hijacked by Alistair Rhodes and Kraft.
Gabriel Kraft and yeah.
Which is like I don't hate that. Like I think like you could really work with a lot of these elements, but they're not doing enough to cohesively work the elements naturally into the narrative. Like so for example, on Citadel, in my review, I'm currently working on, you have oh by the way, if you see a catalyst, let me know. I'll tell you what the outlets are.
Okie dokie. I will let you know.
So like electrics in state, fires in or like near spawn, fire is going to be in the first class section.
Okay. I will try and find them.
Yeah, we can only do one per round, so.
Yep. Okay. Good to know. I haven't seen a catalyst yet.
Yeah, they spawn pretty rarely on these rounds, but they might spawn. So if you do see them.
But anyways, your breakdown of Citadel de Morin.
Yeah, so you have Alistair Rhodes and Archibald in a radio. You have Weaver and Carver in a single radio, which is probably the best in the entire game. You have Richtofen's radio. You have a bunch of radios with Kraft talking about his relationship with Eddie and his exploration of life past Vanguard and what he wants to do with himself.
Myself satisfied.
He goes to Berlin. You have all these overarching narratives, and none of it is connected. You have the owl. And it's extremely frustrating because there is a centralized theme, that you can be telling with these characters. They're all connected by the theme of fatherhood. You have Richthofen, pursuing, going through his research to see. That's really sad. Wow.
Well, all right, let's trust in the ABH, yeah?
I don't really know what's in
It
this.
got me a little bit closer,
create
like
it after
50
all.
feet.
Start running good. This might be the saddest thing ever. I did not think it would happen. I'm gonna be honest with you, dude. Where are you right now on the map?
Lower grand staircase.
Yeah, I'm screwed. All right. Wow, that is really an outcome I did not think was gonna happen.
The king of chaos, ladies and gentlemen.
Fucking wash today. All right, just end round, I guess.
That'll be the goal.
That cheeky blue bastard is giving his friends a leg up.
Just. There was 50 or more. I'm legit.
Hey, it happens. It happens. It's not easy playing the game and being interviewed at the same time.
Nah, not to me, dude. I do these streams twice a week. This is embarrassing.
Well, that's why it's definitely being included in the video.
Okay. Oh, right, I forgot. You get your weapons back in this game. This is why BO4's the best. Anyways, get a shield.
It is part of it.
I'm pretty sure the ship
Where
is
does the shield
sinking,
spawn?
So if the creatures
You're
don't kill
right
us,
next to it.
drowning
Am I?
surely will.
It's right here.
Oh wow.
Good news, Monsieur.
Yeah, it shows how much I know about this map. Anyways.
Anyways, I got so just like okay. So talking about Alistair, you have Alistair forgoing his family in pursuit of research. You have Kraft forgoing research in pursuit of his family. You have Richthofen using research to get back his family. You have the Owl who forwent his family for the
This
pursuit of
one's
power.
wrapped with light.
And okay, follow me. Let's go get the
I'm
back to spawn.
sensing an elemental theme emerging.
And there's a really compelling story to tell with how like your own ideals can really blind you from the family that you've made, the family that you found, and they don't do anything with these narrative pieces. The closest that we get is Croft reflecting on the Owl's experience with his own, but that's really about it. It's extremely surface level, and most of the time whenever Croft is talking, he's talking to himself, honestly. The characters barely react to what he's saying.
Yeah, except for, I mean, actually, no. Even in the cutscene where he's talking about not killing Richthofen because Richthofen's his son.
That's a really good scene. I love Weaver, like the way Weaver emotes in that scene. He's your what?
Right. He shows more emotion than in the rest of the year so far.
Yeah. Real quick, did you ever listen to the Cold War intel?
Not all of it,
Some
no.
sort of portal
Listen out, dude.
injection.
There's really
Or
good
maybe it's
in
just
this game.
always been there.
I've definitely listened to a lot of it, and I've gone hunting for a lot of it. A lot of the Outbreak intel is stuff that I did not get into.
What use is
because I
this?
was just genuinely not a fan of Outbreak. But
I don't blame you.
I'm sure there is incredible intel in that game.
Really? You
Okay, there's a
think
box right
I
down where you
carry
are.
that kind of coin?
Jump down
So,
here,
Monsieur, science.
and then there'll be a box right
Do
here.
you have an
Right?
explanation for the horrors unfolding around us? Huh?
There it is.
My speciality is chemistry. With an alchemical
We
base.
get those Krakens, you know what I'm
explain
saying?
these events any more rationally than you.
We do,
Actually,
it's
that's
not going great.
But I'm just not
All
in
right,
the
if
mood.
we
Damon?
if I don't get it from this fire cell, I'm just gonna do the free run.
Okay.
The secret. Oh, I found it.
Oh, I got the Hellion.
To give those beasts a proper thrashing.
Oh shit. Oh, I have Fire Elemental.
Assist me with all
No, you're
love.
good. I got one of me.
I know you can hear me.
Okay.
I'm right next to the outlet.
Oh, this gun is not good.
What'd you get?
Give me 1 second. I'll do that.
You're good. So, anyways,
the
I think that
VKM.
Citadel. Yeah, get rid of that. Yeah. So, anyways, Citadel has an extremely engaging narrative. Like, it has a lot of really interesting pieces. If you've been following along since Vanguard, since BO4, since Cold War, it has like 3 games worth of like storyline to tell. Where my phone is. But it's like it doesn't want to capitalize on any of it. And I think that actually keep a zombie alive, if you could please.
Yeah, I've got 2 on me. No, I got like 6 on me.
Relative.
Okay, cool. But you can leave where you are. Come to the back of the ship.
My relatives won't even talk to me anymore.
Okay, got fire done. Cool. I'm gonna show you something really cool. We're gonna do the secret death Easter egg.
Love it.
Because you know what? I want to crack it, damn it.
But anyway, Citadel more.
Yeah.
Like
if you've been following along, it's an absolutely fantastic map in terms of like narrative story beats, but in terms of cohesive story narrative, it is terrible.
Agreed.
And
however, really fun. I had a good time on that
really
map.
fun map. Yeah.
I think it flows well. I think they made it so the wonder weapon quests weren't insane to where people can't do them. But there's still a little bit of a challenge there. Along with like astrology, etc. But
That's all right. Heal that one. All right, I got one right here. Keep this guy. I'm gonna do the free Kraken real quick.
yeah, sounds good. Is this
So
the
fun little
developer
fact-
Kraken?
Yeah, this is the developer one. So you have to hold interact, follow this extremely specific path, and then you have to get all the way over here.
Ooh, I've not felt the
then
touch of another since you
Turn
left me.
here, go to this
Not
wall,
much
let go
before.
of interact, knife twice, stand up, switch weapons. Okay, fucked up. But it's
Is this a real thing?
yeah, this is a real thing. Oh yeah. Yeah, let me, if I
I've
do it right.
definitely never seen this before.
Yeah, this was found out, I think, about 2 years ago. At this point, it's been a while.
Interesting.
But basically, someone found in the code that there was this like really weird string that we had never found before. So people were trying to figure it out, and it turns out this seems to be some like developer trick. Whether or not we were
to
supposed
get the
actually-
Kraken for testing or something.
Got it. Here, look.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah. Let me
Right
pop
on.
a temporal. You can go hit the box right here.
Okay, I also have a fire cell if you want me to pop mine.
Oh yeah. I popped my temporal.
Okay, cool. Where's the box that's over here?
Right up
So
here.
Oh,
much
it's up there.
blood.
Okay.
Oh,
I'm gonna look for
I
the water
can't
bottle. I saw
stand
that.
it. Honestly, it makes me want to puke my lungs up.
Get me out of this VKN.
Anyways,
Cap 40 is not much better.
Ah, a giant fireman
Oh,
wielding
healer.
a
Perfect.
shovel.
All right,
Maybe
All right, well,
he's
so-
friendly. I blew you to bits.
All right, if I go down again,
That's all you are
video
now.
series.
I don't know if that's
Anyway.
gonna work. I have
Anyway.
water elemental if you need it.
Yeah, let me find
You wanker. He's making the worm brain stronger.
that. Yeah, just keep.
Can you not smell yourself, mate? The air brings you your friend.
I also have the boss zombie for the map on.
Yeah, no, I really like Citadel's gameplay. The swords are a lot of fun, especially as they come like buffers. They were really
Exploded? Damn it. I
They-
was hoping to examine his remains.
I like them a lot. They're really easy to upgrade. Really fun to use. Found it, it's in Grand Theft Auto, so just come
Okay,
across here.
yep. I'll just
And
bring him with me.
yep, no, extremely fun map. And it's just missing in a lot of places. Like I feel like where I came to the conclusion of is that like
You see how the
Citadel has
icy
all these
ones
different
empowers
pieces,
the
and it has all these different like ideas of what it wants to do. Does it want to be a DE remake? Does it want to be an Ancient Evil
How I felt with my foot.
continuation? Does it want to do Chaos elements? Does it want to include Dark Ether elements? It doesn't
Right.
really know. And I think it's pretty evident in all when you really stack up
Not
all
only
these
the
different like,
Kraken's power,
elements,
fear me.
and then you really start looking at them in the grand scheme of things. Whereas I feel like something like DEE or TOG, despite having different elements, is a way more cohesive experience. For example, in TOG, there is different storyline beats for Jebediah Brown, The Great War, Pablo Marinez, The Ascension Group, Harvey Yena, Richtofen, Primus, Ultimus, The Apothicans, The Keepers, The Great War, Division 9. And I bet 90% of you at home don't even know what most
Mr.
Timecodes
Shaw.
is.
Do
But
not mind me inquiring.
Tog ties
tell
all
me
this
what,
together with the
happened
elemental
to your
shard
eye?
and the Agarthan device.
I
Everything
am
in the map is surrounding those themes and those
Monsieur
elements.
Delacroix,
Whereas
I actually do mind you inquiring. Besides,
Citadel
look at
has all
what
these
is
different elements, and
happening
it never
right
actually
now.
extrapolates fully on how all these different elements connect to each other properly.
Must
Right.
find fresh munitions.
100%.
Only so I can avoid the indignity of
Yeah.
dying.
The story is a big part of the issue in Black Ops 6. I think that's undisputed.
For far too
Yes.
Now,
And it doesn't help that the main characters feel like operators, which is really sad.
yep, we got the, oh, we already did the acid one.
Here, go hit box.
Oh,
We're gonna
okay.
use the
Be
Kraken
wary.
now, so.
There is a reason.
Should I crack in Hellion? is that a good idea?
Yeah, Kraken help. Absolutely. Yeah. You only need, if you use the Kraken for like 90%, you just need,
Another bloke with a shovel. I hope everyone likes fireballs.
after that you just need, just do healing.
Sounds about right.
Like with Bandolier, you'll have more than enough ammo.
Don't want
I
ballistic
appreciate
boost.
it if you cut that grubby little fools away from me.
Done. I gotcha.
I ask you about your eye only because it makes you look very much like one of them.
Yep.
I have come perilously close to shooting you at least 3 times.
Okay, so I do want to get your thoughts on
Likely an improbable accident.
double tap
Let's just
coming
close
back.
the curtain.
I don't know if you've seen the
For
leaks.
now.
I don't know if you've seen what people are thinking is AI generated. Oh, I got the Kraken. There we go.
Perfect. Nice.
I don't know if you've seen
There are many
the
dark
speculation
forces at
about
work on this
the
world.
image being AI
I
generated.
fear I am one of them.
Yeah. So if you ask me, I'm not worried about double tap
Artifact is
itself coming back.
capable
You know,
of
sure.
somehow
Let's
inducing teleportation. Wonderful.
Anyways, I'm really excited to see. I think some weapons desperately need a bolt action weapon. The ray gun needs double tap so bad. But I don't know if double tap back. I think weapons are good where they are underpowered enough where it's like at 40. The game wants you to use because like War had the opposite.
Debbie Lane
Right.
means bad.
That was actually an individual issue.
Do you think they're bringing double tap back because one of the next maps in the season is going to be significantly harder than they have been? Or is it more a nostalgia item that they're trying to bring back because fans want to see it return?
I've been noticing the reason why the things that they bring back, like they've been reusing a lot of stuff from previous games, and I'm not like the happiest with that. I don't think we need to do that constantly.
Oh, definitely not. We don't need to see the Panzer Soul that again.
Yeah, I mean like on the tomb, you've got Death Perception, the Shock Mimic, and the Ice Staff. Those are 3 elements that are all being reused from other experiences.
Right, and I feel like a big part of why they've been using it is for nostalgia sake, not for like storytelling or like sake of gameplay. It's more because, oh, people recognize this, people will want to play this because it's something that they remember.
Trying to hit that metric. There's no reason why the Ice Staff should have come back on the tomb. I don't think the game gives a good enough explanation for why it comes back.
I don't think it gives any explanation of why it comes back.
It's the Elemental Staff of Ice.
The legendary elemental staff of ice, as you
And
remember.
I'm just like, oh, we never got the max ammo there for it.
Is that a water goo? I would love to get a sample.
Yeah, that's a little rippy.
That sounded a lot wetter than an explosion really could.
Yeah, it just makes me really sad because I think that like the game is better than that to do that. And like, yeah, they have good Death Perception feels like they're okay. Well, we need a new perfect sound because like
Right.
especially now that you have Vulture's aid, it doesn't feel like a fan now. Like Death Perception and Vulture's aid. Like in core, Death Perception kind of like overtook what Vulture's aid was, but now we're in a game where we have both.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of interesting because they do very similar things, and I do feel like a big part of it comes down to nostalgia.
And like time, yeah.
Right, rather than actual gameplay quality of life changes or, you know, storytelling elements. I just don't see there being a viable reason to bring both of those back, let alone double tap. However, I think there are some weapons that could benefit from it, and unfortunately, I don't believe that they're bringing double tap back because the map is going to be harder. I think it is one of those like, oh, we haven't had double tap in 5 years, so it's back. Everybody get back on the game and start playing. Like that's
Dude,
kind of
double tap.
right. It's part of the motivation that I've seen going around throughout this year. Is they're bringing a lot of elements back so that people who haven't been playing are enticed to come back for some reason. And I don't know, me personally, I don't see myself returning to a game if I had stopped playing it because they brought a perk back.
I mean, some people do. I don't know. Hey, you got a Sentinel artifact, right?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if I was supposed to grab it.
So I legit was trying to figure out, like, I just anywhere but here, so I was trying to figure out why we were just stuck. That usually doesn't happen.
It's because we didn't pick the Sentinel artifact back up. Makes sense.
No. So, no, separate from that, you have to grab it at the end of the trial anyways. But it was really weird because we were just sitting there. Usually that doesn't happen. Usually it just ends automatically once we kill all the zombies.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, it definitely didn't end automatically.
It just got stuck. I was really confused from it. All right.
Gotcha.
Oh, come all the way down to here.
Oh, my bad.
Everyone's down here. No, you're good.
Should I be buying perks and stuff, or just saving for Pack-a-Punch, or...
Terrifying, really, but fascinating too.
You have a wonder weapon.
I have
Actually,
two.
hello, if you're doing it,
The Hellion Salvo is definitely a wonder weapon.
Well, that's... Alright, yo, look at my points, 557, let's go.
Max ammo.
Let's go. Cannon event. Anyways, so we talked a little bit about the Chaos storyline, and how they've been really muddling up the story a lot between Chaos Ether and Dark Ether. Would it be your preference that they leaned heavily into the Chaos storyline? Or would you rather them make Dark Ether its own thing rather than trying to piggyback off of previous successes?
Because like it's like you're just top, like you're just stepping on your own. Best example I can give is that like, I mean like the thing is like they've done a pretty good job setting the groundwork to make two stories and stuff. In Vanguard, they constantly were afraid to it as God.
Except to
So for example, in Victor was Ares, Cortifex was Osiris, Norticus was I forget which one he was. I think Ymir, and they all come from different like religions, and that's okay because then you could say like, oh, in like Chaos, when we were all looking towards Zeus, that wasn't Zeus actually. That was a different Dark Ether entity that they were all praying to.
Right.
And I'm not sure if that's really like it's kind of just feels like it's retconning a lot of what made Chaos interesting, where it's like Chaos really felt like it was like our human elements and the mythological like god elements were one and the same, and made it more engaging because of that. Whereas now it's like the default answer is always just, oh yeah, it's just a Dark Ether artifact, or oh yeah, Cortifex made the Sentinel artifacts.
Right. It kind of seems like a cop-out for lazy writing in some ways.
Yeah,
Part of
like,
me...
let's just find a subbracket which has constant.
Right. I don't know. A part of me really feels like they should either continue the Chaos storyline primarily or complete it and really hone in on Dark Ether.
Yeah, like this really shouldn't be like, it feels like we're just constantly just like dangling around threads in another game where we're more interested in Chaos stuff. Because now we're like, it's like, okay, well I'm going to get that instead.
Right.
They're really caught.
I think that's 100%. I think it's a big issue that we haven't gotten a definitive answer on whether or not this is more Chaos heavy or more Ether heavy. And
yeah, they don't want to.
A big part of it is they're trying to make it Dark Ether, but when you include the two and then don't determine which one's the primary story, you lead to muddled content like we've seen.
Yeah, it just makes it confusing for everyone. Now no one knows what we're talking about. Like, now you have different camps forming, whether or not Chaos is canon. It's not really fun theory crafting. It's just annoying.
Right. I definitely
I wanna
agree.
know.
So I want to call back to your first video that's on your channel and discuss power creep, if you remember making that video.
I do.
Is there something that is there anything that you can speak on about power creep from Black Ops 6? Because I think that loadouts. Right. It definitely was 6 years ago is when that was published. I think that power creep is something that has changed a lot with the addition of loadouts. What are some of your thoughts on that?
So my biggest primary thought is that like that video is only like understandable if you look at COD as a resource management survival, which is what Call of Duty is not. The game that came out immediately following it was Black Ops 4, which had a loadout system. Black Ops 4 onward, points of series and interaction that is completely separate from what it originally set out to do. Max ammo spawns more frequently. In Cold War onward, you just straight up have ammo boxes. The resource management
How many times do you have to die?
and interchange with just more high-tech action, more dopamine. It's quick, fast. Everything is meant to feed into itself. And you have a full gameplay that starts with Black Ops 4 and is then kind of reused on every map with different flavors. So BO6 is the exact same way. In BO6 you have a loadout system and then you have the maps. So every single map plays the exact same. It's just simply what enemies and features are on each map that differ rather than completely different play styles. In the old days, Ascension was the easy training
I think
map.
I've got it
Moon
now.
was a risk versus reward, choose your own
require
adventure map.
sacrifices.
Shangri-La is an environmental, you have to use every one of your like unique elements to your advantage. And Call of the Dead was just simply the hardest.
Right.
But now it's like every map plays the same. Every map is the same kind of gameplay loop. The thing that differs is just simply the enemies, the environment, and weapons. It's hard.
Okay.
Every map shares this homogeneous.
785
game.
entry of 6
And I don't think that really changes how powerful the entire genre of the game is different before. Power creep is something that doesn't really account for anymore. Like, you can build a Mangler injector whenever you want. And
Right.
that thing is going to be the cream of the crop.
Have I told them about the side effects? Sure I did.
Okay.
Sorry,
I distinctly
No,
remember
that's
saying,
that's
"Do you
a fair
know
point to make.
There are side effects.
I guess it brings me to another question: is are you a fan of
Weapons
loadouts?
almost empty.
Um,
Not your day,
I
is
like
it sure?
BO4 a lot, but
No,
I'm a fan of BO4's
certainly
loadouts
is
system,
not.
BO6 is onwards, and Cold War's.
Because I think that BO4's loadout system is significantly better in my personal
How
opinion.
limited BO4's is too, before they got into like the more like modern warfare style. From a gameplay point of view, no. And I feel like what really worked about BO4 specifically, despite how different it is,
Can I
just
beg
like
you
the
a little
center of the
seasick?
loadout system. Whereas, and like unique things that you can do with it. I think modifiers are really like ahead of their time ability. You have 3 perks before putting an additional ability.
Right.
And like the set dressing of like the way it's done with the dogs, the way that they glow when you have all 4. Whereas nowadays, you just kind of just load in with whatever you want. And the gameplay is all centered around like the box.
Given your limited language skills, is it possible your attacks or an attempt
and
to say,
really no one's gonna
hello?
hit them. Even the way that the work like the rarity system and the pack-a-punch system. Sure, you can get a gold weapon around 35, but it costs you 1,000 points to triple tack that weapon. There is almost no reason to go hit the box in late game because you're just putting yourself at a disadvantage unless you have enough money to patch that weapon to how high the enemy's health is.
My
At that
services
point,
usually
the game
come at a
disincentivises
premium.
you from using
Today I'll
standard
make
weaponry.
an exception.
You might as well not even use it.
No,
All these
100%.
different systems that feed into each other.
I think the new loadout system absolutely makes the box obsolete. I mean, you can have a weapon with the attachments that you want. That's exactly the weapon you want from the beginning of the game, and there are a lot of ways to get that weapon to gold rarity instantly or very quickly, you know, with things like hidden power or you know, the ether tools and things like that. It really makes it so you can pick the best weapon for a specific situation. Excuse me. You can pick the best weapon for a specific situation and use it the entire game. and it kind of eliminates the ability for there to be power creep in this game. And a big part of me really misses that, because the power creep really changed, you know, the way that the game played. It incentivized you to hit the box. It incentivized you to, you know, risk your points on something different rather than, you know, having a max loadout that's incredibly strong from the get-go.
Like,
I think it
love
takes
this idea
away.
that, like,
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, that you were always in the back foot.
Right,
Like
100%.
that was something Jimmy Zelensky loved, was always putting you on the back foot, was putting you at like the risk of it. Like Moon is the entire definition of that. On Moon, you are constantly like, okay, well if you have the hacker, you now can't breathe in certain spots of the map. You can use the excavators to lock things off, but that can also hurt you. You can use the Moon Man to teleport you, but he can also take the perks. The QEDs is the biggest risk versus reward equipment ever. It can do the best thing ever. It could teleport you to an excavator and down you.
Right.
Whatever that chaos artifact wants to do.
The risk reward, unfortunately, is something that we're missing from today's Call of Duty.
It's too fast, it's too much, it's going too much through a grinder of like, well, how do we make the gameplay fun for everybody, especially people who've never played before? But what makes zombies so unique is that like you could play a match and still not understand it 200 times down the line.
Right. And I feel like
That
that's a
was
big
always
part of what got us into zombies as hardcore fans in the first place, right? Like the hand-holding, like, make this easy for everyone approach that they've been taking nowadays is something that I don't think would ever pull me into zombies personally.
No, not at all. Like, yeah. And, like, for example, you have, like, directed mode for Easter egg unlocks. I think it's a great idea. Directed mode is awesome. But I feel like the Easter egg should be harder to compensate for. You now have a mode that creates the least common denominator can beat it.
Correct.
So then why not make the actual like Easter egg itself more difficult, more engaging? You know, in directed mode, you can carry people as much as you want through those puzzles. But then like in the actual map when we're hunting it, those puzzles should be as hard as they can possibly be to learn.
100%. And on that same point, do you think directed mode accomplished what Treyarch wanted it to accomplish this year?
I'd say so. According to them, Liberty Falls had double the
Okay.
Neptune, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Mercury, Earth, and then Sun.
That cleared the fog a bit.
Okay. Anyways, yeah, I think it accomplished exactly what they wanted it to do, and I think that like it's a ton of fun. It's super easy. You could do it in like, I don't know, like an hour, call it a day, fun. Like I think like Liberty Falls, even that Easter egg being like a simple onboarding map is a perfect idea.
I agree. I think there are a lot of elements with, especially Liberty Falls and directed mode, that are at the player's benefit. But I do think it comes back to that same point of, if you're going to add a directed mode, make the maps more challenging so that the hardcore fans get a real challenge, like, you know, Gorod Krovi, for example. It wasn't something that you could just, you know, figure out in a couple of hours if you really wanted to. Whereas I still think that a majority... Right. I still think there's a majority of maps in Black Ops 6 that I could solve with a group of friends in a couple of hours if we really put our mind to it.
And that's the funny thing is too, is that like, so I've actually gotten into that now recently, where like Mauer I solved on my own, Citadel and the Tomb I solved with like buddies, and I actually really, that's the weird thing though, I really enjoyed those experiences. Mauer's holds a special place in my heart specifically. It was the first egg I'd ever solved without a guide, and it really like made that map bump up to like a top 5 for me. But at the same time, this is a community game at the end of the day, and I think it's important to appeal to the community and do things that like actually are difficult. Like Easter eggs have always held this hallmark of being important to us, so it's a shame that they're still like dumbing them down for the sake of a wider player base that might not ever play them.
Right. No, I 100% agree. And I think there are some benefits to making it so it is solvable in a couple of hours with friends.
Yes, I agree.
But I do think that, like, the reward, if you had pushed yourself through something like Gorod Krovi or Origins or anything like that with a group of friends, would elevate that even more, you know?
Yeah, like especially like like let's say like if you participate in the Easter egg hunt by playing during like the first like until it was completed by the first group, if you would like tried completing it and you were a part of the Easter egg hunt experience, you could like get like a special reward for helping out.
Right.
And like everyone working together to pool in their efforts.
Something like that would definitely be really cool. And I think the personal fulfillment aspect is, a big part of this game with solving these Easter eggs and being able to solve something. Like, Liberty Falls is something that I did within an hour on my own. Like, the map basically tells you exactly how to solve it. But it does feel rewarding not having to look up a guide and, watch through a bunch of videos on how to solve something. I think there is a benefit to that. But I do think they should put some maps, or at least a secondary hardcore Easter egg in for people and the community to solve together. I think
like,
that could be something that would be really cool.
Yeah, speaking of like a hardcore Easter egg, Liberty Falls literally ends right when it feels like it's getting started too.
Oh, 100%. that
hey,
map
by the
ends
way,
very quickly.
Get to spawn and try not to die to the Blight Father.
Hey, do you know where Bandolier is?
Depends what perk slot is that. Is that Zeus?
Zeus.
It'll be in the first class lounge. I can take you there.
Yeah, you're good. I'm on my way. He said,
Yeah,
don't die to the Blight Father?
There's a Blight Father walking around. Don't die to him.
I'm just coming down to you.
Follow him. Yep. Hey, perfect. You get to see me do a single part of the Easter egg. By the way, we're almost over there. We're about to go boss
I
fight.
don't doubt it. I will be more help when I'm not trying to conduct an interview at the same time.
Dude, you're good. I can literally do this with my eyes closed. I'm curious to see like your future videos, how you're gonna handle people who can't do this.
It's probably gonna be a little bit
Oh,
different.
you're one floor up.
Yeah, I don't know how to get down.
You're good. You'll find your way down. I'm just gonna grab the last planet and then we're good to go.
Cool.
And
That means
the
boss
iceberg
fight, right?
step.
Oh shit.
We're
Alright.
about to first iceberg step. Can you get on my way, game? Thank you.
Handling this, or at least part of the benefit to the way that I've structured this is the guest gets to choose the challenge. So at the bare minimum, they should know a little bit about what they're doing. I mean, they could pick something crazy like a super Easter egg for Black Ops 1 or something like that, where I gotta, struggle through it for hours on end. But I could see somebody like Pizza doing that. Being like, oh, a challenge? All right, let's speed run Black Ops 1.
I breathe out when I meant to breathe in.
So I could see that being, part of the case, but so what are your thoughts on something like a hardcore mode, where the players spawn in with just a pistol, and there's a more challenging Easter egg, longer steps, more convoluted? Is that something that you would see benefit to?
100%.
Oh no, we're getting stuck.
We're gonna freeze, by the way. So you deal with the zombies. I'm gonna throw this. I'm gonna use my first lucky first. We beat this round. No, I don't have a magic. Can you start slapping this iceberg with your chakras?
If it will let me pull it out. There we go.
Back up a little bit. If you need to, there. Like back up just a little bit. So you're getting hit first. You do it right.
Yeah.
Oh, use the left first.
Staring down at me like a big eyeball.
Use like the left.
Maybe the fireman will be nicer this time.
Okay.
We can get to other questions first.
Yeah.
It's like the only step where we have to get past this. Iceberg.
I think my
Shield. Right here. Got the shield.
Yep.
Give him the Blight Father too, by the way.
A modified
he
mobile
exists.
defensive
Yeah,
barrier.
he does.
But
Alright,
it
we're
is
looking for last
one word way to describe it.
Go.
Blue must die.
Last one back there, we're done.
He's sure shooting.
No, don't use it. Just shoot to crack it.
So the
So there's been a lot of super Easter eggs in Call of Duty in the past. Do you think there's going to be a super Easter egg in Black Ops 6? And do you think there's going to be a reward for doing it?
When this year, like when BO6 was still in development, I would have said yes, but I'm a bit more worried with how this game. I'm really scared if they're going to do one. Like, I think the easiest answer is the bare minimum super Easter egg reward is the top operator.
Rooftop and operator or calling card.
Yeah, but like I feel like the operator, like that should be the character. That will get so many people involved. So people know that character. People wonder where it's been the entire game.
Honestly,
Right. No, it definitely should be the bare minimum reward. I think we're in store for something more like a calling card that's moving, unfortunately.
Which I really sad about. Because like even like when this game was in development, Kevin Drew said on Twitter was talking to Lee Ross that like he recognized that Mephistopheles, I can say he was speaking now, right? He recognized that Mephistopheles is like the high bar people want, so he's hoping now to do that.
No, 100%. And I definitely remember him talking about that on Twitter for sure. And that gives me hope that they have something in mind. It would be really cool if they did do some kind of reward. But in the past, we've had things like, you know, the RK5 or other like pistol rewards or, you know, different pay to win. I guess not pay to win, but play to win options that I just don't think that they could do in Black Ops 6 because we have such a strong loadout system in the game. I do think that something cosmetic would be the most likely option. Something that they did add recently to this game was the Wonder Weapon skins, and I could see them doing some kind of collective Wonder Weapon skin as a reward for completing a super Easter egg. Right. Wonder Wap, and right. I could see that being a direction for sure.
But like this system says like with the rocket spam, is that like, oh, they might just
Yeah, I really want to hope that they're doing something more and have something better planned, but you know, it's really hard to tell at this point.
Hey, by the way, make sure you pass your
5 times.
Yeah, you guys, you get repaps.
I didn't know that you could do it 5 times in this game. I thought it was 2.
It keeps adding damage until the 4th repap. Then it just rerolls the AAD.
Wow.
You'll know you're doing it right when it costs you, like once it goes from 2,500 to
Whose side does this creature fight?
Interesting.
I'm trying to
Okay.
remember Scarlet as
Cool.
a child.
I think we're almost there. I think it's
Same goes for my own
I think it is
family,
too.
if I'm honest with myself.
I got 2,500
Shame
is what
on
it
me.
says. I need 200 points. Another part that I want to talk about is, do you think zombies would benefit or degrade from a standalone game?
I think it would.
I've long become numb to the sound of explosion.
Okay.
Zombies will never get a standalone game because it is a third of the play space. Activision knows that if I never play MP, I'm still playing zombies. They know that they can always get the Scarlet Road skin.
Right, 100%. I do think that cosmetics have a lot to say.
Like as small of like as like an audience member as I am in zombies, and how like little my skin, I still have that potential. That's still and by making a standalone game, you would never have to buy a new one again.
Yeah, no, I mean, they could do sequels or, you know, update seasons, kind of how Destiny's been doing it.
Oh,
Did
well,
someone just
yeah,
cut a
but like they would,
fucking half?
unless they do one each year, they would never do it because COD loves that like yearly like stock bonus.
Right.
Shareholders love it. That's why there's COD in Quarter 4 without fail.
Oh, 100%. And so, I mean, obviously, Warzone is what's making Call of Duty money these days. I mean, we see it in every aspect of the game. You know.
Real quick, by the way, are you max pack?
I think I am, but I don't think I want Rain Rot.
Hey, you can reroll. It's fine. It's 1,500. You're good. Reroll.
It still says 2,500.
Then you're still not done.
Oh, yeah, I have one more. Yeah, I think I have one more. But that being said, so
That's all you are now.
I lost my train of thought. This is gonna happen a lot over the duration of this
You're
series.
talking about them like they can yearly. like what they want to sell.
Oh, for sure. And I think Warzone's obviously a huge part of that. Like oh my god.
I can remind you, you're good. I got staff as well. We're good.
Like we talked about, Warzone's obviously their moneymaker. Do you see a world where zombies could be monetized through things like gobblegum and skins and whatnot to succeed as a standalone game?
No, not at all. I think that like as much as like during the so I can talk a bit about this in the BO3 internal documents, it was vengeance that at launch, at most I think it was like 8% of players.
I can feel that. I think I've been drawn to the touch of death.
8% of players. That's crazy, actually.
Yeah, and keep in mind Liberty Falls has an 8% player completion rate too.
I am fully papped now, by the way.
Cool. All right, you cracking path?
Kraken is papped once.
That you don't need to do path once. You're good.
Cool.
All perks.
Yep. I mean they're recharging, but yep.
Yeah, no, that should be it. But yeah, you have all 4, right? I think Dying Wish Zone should be recharging.
Yep.
Yeah, you should have a yellow icon around Winter's Whale.
Yep, I got 4 charges on Winter's Whale.
Sounds good. All right, we're gonna go to the boss fight.
Cool.
Yeah. No, I just never see zombies doing that, and I think that like it's also evident with how much money Warzone makes them for how little work they have to put into it compared to zombies.
Oh, 100%.
Zombies is easily their most expensive mode, and it's why they tried monetizing it with Gobblegum. They tried monetizing it with Divinium. They tried monetizing it with Boolean Plasma. And it's like, it's clear that there is an engagement for it in the game.
Yeah, it's pretty sad in my opinion because I mean I think it's pretty apparent that zombies is what gets the most love and attention as far as money goes and what developers are spending versus returns.
It literally costs them the most, but compared to how much it makes, like zombies easily makes them the worst return for how much they put into it.
Right.
Whereas like I think maybe like one season of Warzone at its peak pays more than like an entire zombies game ever makes.
Oh, it definitely pays more than the entire year. There's no shot that it doesn't. And
yeah,
I mean,
especially with how little they put into it.
It's a shame because they definitely do put a little into it. It is definitely not as good as other battle royale platforms. I think it would do better on its own, personally, like as a separate entity from Call of Duty.
100%. Oh yeah, totally.
But I don't think
Which
it's
I guess I am kind of
They
bouncing around the
a little while
question.
ago.
Where it's like, would it do better? Yes. Would they ever do it?
No.
Would I buy it? I would love it. Absolutely.
I think it would be a better user experience being a standalone game. I really dislike the current like Call of Duty HQ platform that they have going right now. I think it's abysmal.
I despise COD HQ. It's such a waste of time.
It's not only a waste of time, but it's
Hold on.
Yeah,
That guy shouldn't be spawning.
You know, we break games here.
Dude, turn around. No, look that's the whole cutscene. Like, look at her.
That's hilarious. Yeah, this is the Eye of Odin, right?
Yep. It is the serpent that resides inside the ice inside the tree.
That
Takes the
settles it.
form of the
No
eye.
more medicine tonight. I've had enough of these
I love it.
hallucinations.
I've been excited to be in this boss fight. I've never been in before.
Don't trust it.
Oh yeah, you're good. So don't shoot it. First 2 phases are just kills.
Love it. And then there's the hallway and then damage phases.
Yeah, then you fight the eye. Yeah. So for now, just focus on survival, and if your shield starts to break, let me know.
We'll grab the carpenter.
I've been legless myself
try not to
on
grab
one
it.
occasion, but never literally.
Cool. Well, I have, I think that's a majority of what I wanted to talk about as far as the current state of zombies is concerned. I think...
Yeah, it's quite sad. It's a bit scary. Actually. It really feels like that. BO6 is supposed to be the game that like really took off, and I think it's just being hampered by meddling every step of the way.
Right. Well, and I think the game had an incredible start. I don't think that we've seen anything like Terminus Island since Black Ops 4, really. And they really knocked it out of the park with that one. It got me incredibly excited for the rest of the year. And, I mean, honestly, Citadel also hit that mark for me in a lot of ways, you know, story excluded. But then we get the Tomb, and things are looking bleak. There's the issues with voice actors
AI.
and everything else going out in the community, and it really puts us in a confusing place right now. Moving towards the Stanley stuff that I wanted to talk about, because a big part of this interview is just, you know, me getting to know you and learning things about you. I'm actually really curious to know what your introduction to zombies was.
Yeah, so I've been playing zombies since Black Ops 1. My older brother got a 360 for Christmas, and we got into the series around the Ascension and Call of Duty, and I have been hooked ever since.
That's awesome. Call of Duty and Ascension, what a good start. For me, I played 5 when Black Ops 1 was in the end of its life cycle. Moon had already been launched at this time, was when I got the game for the first time. And I was traumatized by 5, to say the least. I was a pretty sheltered child. And for my parents getting me Call of Duty was a big step in my development of becoming desensitized. Right, and so 5 traumatized me. I didn't play the game. I should say I didn't play the mode again until DLC 4 of Black Ops 2 with Origins. Origins was really the map that put me in the loop and sucked me just violently deep into this game mode. So this is your chance to talk about why we're doing this challenge today. What is your favorite map, and why is it your favorite map?
For those of you who don't know me, oh, by the way, the ice gonna spawn ice storms. They're not gonna hurt you. They're just gonna buff zombies with the water buff.
You should not be down here.
Okay, cool. I got the
Anyways,
alien.
yeah. Oh, be careful with that. Do not use the Hellion here. You will blow yourself up with it. But anyway, so I got into I love Rare. It is one of my favorite maps that they've ever made. I like the vibe of it. I like the Easter egg. I like the thematics of it. I love the way that the map tries to swoon you into the new world of Chaos. And I think it pulls it off and with flying colors, which is not something I think anyone else would ever say. The Easter egg was one that enthralled me, and it was my first ever Easter egg that I completed all on myself in solo. I spent like a week doing it. I would spend like an hour each night trying to do it, trying to beat it. And when I did, it was exciting. It was fantastic. It really felt like it was a new experience that blew me away. And that's what got me into this. Voyage is surprisingly one of the few maps that I've never had a bad experience on. It has been something that's been exciting to me since the first day.
I love that. Because this is something that you completed on your own, but it wasn't your first time solving a map by yourself, which guide did you use? Which, was it
I don't
Noah,
know.
Milo?
Yeah. Because I remember specifically watching Coding Pizza on a live stream that like made me was like, oh, so it is possible. I guess I really do want to give it a shot.
Okay. Shout out to Pizza. That guy's incredible. Would love to talk to Pizza sometime.
Yeah.
Very cool. I love to hear that.
One of my favorites. I love the triple barrel cannon.
Oh, it's an incredible wonder weapon. I mean, everybody's been watching the gameplay. It is so much fun to use this thing. And it's one of the wonder weapons that actually feels wonderful, you know? Like, we've had some wonder weapons in recent years, and even the ray gun in a lot of ways nowadays just doesn't feel wonderful. And this thing is truly unique, you know?
Yeah, I always think like it's what like in Cold War, well not Cold War, like in BO1, ray gun's fantastic because everything around it sucks. In the modern era, when everything is good, the ray gun feels almost pale in comparison.
Right.
Like the fact that, like, you know, like in BO6, the ASG shotgun is way more than a ray gun could ever think of.
I agree, 100%. So, we did touch on directed mode a little bit in the earlier discussion, but do you think that directed mode would have pulled you in as a new player?
I think so, actually. Big thing about when I first played Zombies was that I was the little brother, and I would research steps, I would look up Easter egg stuff for my older brother, but I could not do anything in the game. I was the nerd who had his book out, all right, guys, the next step is we need to do this. I don't know what that actually means. We just start shooting stuff.
Right. Okay.
And I'd be like, all right, so for the wind staff, you gotta shoot these symbols. But, you know, if I were to get the controller in my hand, I would be puffing air. I could barely get the jug without dying. And like,
no, that's fair.
literally, I have memories of like crying to my older brother because I was so frustrated with the game.
Well, I mean, speaking of Origins specifically, the Panzer on round 8 is
Panzer around it.
is absolutely a challenge.
Yeah, I could only play the game on easy mode because of it. Like, there was no way I was playing on original.
Yeah, definitely when learning easy mode made a difference. Oh my god, I got so pitched. That is insane, actually. So here's another one, because I actually know that we have different opinions on this based on the videos, unless your opinions changed recently. What is your least favorite map and why?
I think it still might be Eastern. In terms of like the package that it provides, it has to be.
Okay.
No,
So,
rip
yeah, it is a rip indeed. Beast from Beyond, that's fair. I actually don't have an opinion on that because I haven't played it.
What would you say you're
My-
real quick. Come to the front, check the sides of the hallway. You can see snow from the sides.
I absolutely thought you were going to say Infection.
No, so actually, Infection, as much as I dislike that, I don't hate about it. You can like stay on the side. It can't hit you if you're just hugging the side.
Like this side or this side?
I just remembered
Both sides. As long as you're not in the middle, it basically.
Okay, so
Alright,
just
Rich,
chill
yeah,
right
wait
here.
for the eye to appear, and then kind of like shoot in like the gray area in between.
I think I need to go to the other side.
Yeah, go to the other side. Just don't die, basically. Be careful. I'll throw a monkey in a second.
That is quite enough from you, Snappy Daniels.
I don't think I get a shield back, huh?
Nope. You sure have had that privilege.
Unfortunate. So Infection's actually in my top 5. Personally.
That is the.
Isn't that crazy? It was one of the first maps that I completed solo. And
What?
yes.
Infection?
Yes.
It's not a long egg. It's just, I feel like just finding the weaknesses is so difficult.
It was one of it. Not only was it one of the first maps that I completed solo, but I actually I held the world record for about 3 hours for the speedrun on that map. At like, I don't even know, 12 years old, 13 years old, whenever that game was. You want me to pick that up? So, special place in my heart with Infection. Love that map. The entirety of Advanced Warfare Zombies is something that I actually thoroughly enjoy, which I know is not shared by a lot of people within the community. Nice.
Anyways, no, I don't blame you actually. I gotta share with you
You
an
know,
art
I'm
book
beginning
that
to
I was
regret
recently
signing
given
up for
access
this.
to.
There was
It's
no
called
giant
Chasing
eye
John
in the job
Malkovich. It's
description.
an
I
internal art
demand
book that goes through the
transparency.
development of AW.
That's awesome. You definitely have to share that with me. I would love to see that. Would
Should
you
you have a
want
really on-
an AW2?
Let's cause some sudden nocturnal hemorrhaging.
Ooh. I
So,
think massive overhauls would need to be made. It's a very rusty game. Very like it's very clearly like developers like aren't very good at their craft. Like they have good ideas. I think the executions were a lot of false off. The EMZs aren't a bad idea, like disabling your exosuit. It's just a bit too overtuned with how
Oh, I wish I could still shoot beams from
rip
my
Dr.
eyes.
Disrespect. Dr. Disrespect definitely played on, or developed on that team. But anyways, I really like AW, and I actually have heard rumors that they wanted to build another one, but
Yeah.
that Activision turned them down.
Yeah, I mean, same thing with IW. Extinction 2 is also turned down. I mean, like, you know, you have to say it like as much as like you want them to do Chaos, they've had to go through rigorous processes of like, okay, well, we're not going to approve you for that budget, seeing how well it did before. And by how well and how poorly it did.
Right. No, I think that's 100% exactly how it goes. I'm sure a lot of the games that we've wanted, we just haven't gotten because of that, purely. But it is interesting to think about that there could have been an Advanced Warfare 2. And I remember years ago, I had a Game Informer magazine that highlighted Call of Duty Primal, which was something that they had tossed around the idea of doing a caveman aesthetic Call of Duty game.
That would have been awesome. I know like they also you can only shoot with two magazines, aren't you?
I see.
Alright, anyways, we're on the last phase now, so.
Very
During
cool.
this phase, we're gonna shoot it a whole bunch, and then it's gonna scream at us, and then it's gonna do a scream nuke. And we have to stop the screen. If we don't stop the screen nuke, the fight doesn't progress.
I thought we wiped.
Well, we do also wipe, but the fight doesn't progress, and you go down.
Right.
I have dying wit, so I won't.
Don't you know that the face is the second most fragile part of the body?
Alright,
Dying Wish is not recharged.
anyways, by the way, if the eye ever freezes you with its ice beam, just smack it out.
Good to know.
Alright, it's about to go into screen nuke, so get up here. Shoot it. Alright, third. Alright, shoot it now. Alright, there you go.
I think we got it, right?
I'm doing a speedrun strat where if you use the poison kraken during the step, it has no armor against the kraken. So
Oh,
basically,
interesting.
99% of the time it has armor against the kraken. It does 90% damage reduction, but only during that one part where it's screen nuke, it doesn't do that.
Interesting.
And the poison kraken
Very cool.
anyways, yeah, these are
Oh,
extremely
shit.
specific.
I don't know if you have your ult or your.
Course I do.
Cool.
I hope this was not a cry
Um,
for help.
Watch out for the eye.
Okay, so we briefly touched on extinction, right?
Yeah.
Oh my god, I died again.
I
There's
don't
a-
want to
there's a-
die on a boat!
No, wait, no.
If you can't get the res, don't go for it.
Of course I can. Res.
So extinction was something that, one of the developers wanted to have a third mode similar to zombies. They didn't want it to be exactly like zombies. Some people loved it, some people really did not. Do you think that studios like Sledgehammer and Infinity Ward should continue exploring their own modes, or
100. I mean, their own modes, their own ideas. I think experimentation is extremely important.
Do you-
And just any third mode in general.
I was gonna say, do you think it should be
Alright,
zombies or it should be its own thing? So do you think that their experimentation should be a zombies mode, or should it be their own idea of what a third mode should be?
I think it should be kind of their own idea. If they want to do zombies mode, great. If they don't want to do zombies mode, also great. Do whatever they think is going to be fun.
Okay. I'm kind of with that. I actually think that they should continue and focus on something that's totally unique and totally their own. But that's
totally fair, yeah.
mainly because Treyarch ends up getting pulled off of their own projects to go help the other studios make zombies titles.
Constantly.
And that's a major issue for the Treyarch, development cycle. I think it's something that we saw extensively with Cold War, when them having to peel for Vanguard immediately after. I think it is a big part of why the Forsaken didn't do as well as we had anticipated, I
They
think,
were they're stretched thin, dude.
I think that's
in a
fair.
BO4, they lost entire development
Is that it? Wow. Incredible. I'm definitely going to need to use your POV. I went down plenty of times.
No, I mean just bring Easter egg steps and whatnot.
Well, achievement unlocked. There we go.
Yay.
In the future, I want to be more involved in the Easter egg the next time I try this out.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. Yeah,
But-
sorry, I was kind of just going through the motions of just doing the egg.
No, 100%. And I think that's what we needed for what this interview was. I don't think I could have paid attention to Easter egg steps while asking a whole bunch of questions.
Especially a new one. But yeah, finish your thought though.
So, to finish up my thought, I do think that the developers should work on their own projects. I think bringing Extinction back could be something really interesting, but it's something that they need to spend a long time developing and not bring other studios in to help. and I don't know if they're ever going to get the time frame to actually do that, like they probably would want. Another question that I had was, in your interview with Milo, you talked about how the Weaver story is more interesting than hearing more about Primus, Ultimus, and Victus. Is that something that you still, believe in and see, given the current state of the game and where the story's at?
Yeah, I should reiterate what I
It all
did say
just
during my
went
podcast. At the very least, the way
How
I
it
do
was
feel
before.
is that, like, I am...
No one will ever know.
I'm more interested in it for BO6,
I've
just
seen
because
it
we
before.
had Premise
I know
explored.
where it
I'm more
is.
engaged in the new
Is
stuff.
it somewhere you've been?
Although I think
No.
Richtofen's still an extremely
Only
engaging
in
character.
books.
That might be a better way to describe it.
But I do know its
Okay.
location.
But
Greece.
to continue that
Delphi,
thought, though, yes,
to be
I'm still
specific.
interested. I went through a
Then
whole bunch of
that's
the
where we're
Cold
going
War
next.
intel, and
The bad guys
that's
are there.
extremely engaging
There's a
intel.
good
to me.
chance my father
One of
is
my
too.
favorite pieces of intel is Weaver trying to have a heart-to-heart with Samantha, and he's extremely well written. He's extremely well voice acted, and as much as I'm not getting it in BO6, I want to see that level of quality in BO6. It still interests me, so I hope that they pick it up, and it's not as boring.
Aside from all of the commenters from that podcast that were ripping you to shreds for this point, I actually full-heartedly agree with you on this. I think that the Weaver story is something that they should dive way more deep into. I feel like we talked about earlier, they're kind of scratching the surface on a lot of topics, but then just adding a lot of topics for the sake of topics in Black Ops 6. And I think that really diving deep into his character and his development, and along with the rest of their crew, I think would be something that they definitely should do. Before we land the plane, because I know it is as long as it takes, I do want to go over a couple of YouTube questions that I have
go
for
for it.
you,
Here,
that our
we can
viewers
just
might
load
have as
to a-
well.
We can just load into another map or something. We can reload into Voyage, whatever you want to do. Just so we have something going on in the background.
Let's see real quick. Bring party, select map. Let's do Dead of the Night.
This guy.
We're not gonna do the Easter egg. We're not doing that. I like this map for the sake of a survival map. So what initially inspired you to make your YouTube channel?
Yeah. As anyone who's watched my videos knows, I'm extremely passionate about the undead. I love just looking at all these tiny little details and going through a map and going through every single little facet about it, and I wasn't seeing that on YouTube. So my main inspiration is making making content that I want to see.
I love that. It was one of the best bits of advice that you gave me when I first started. And I reached out to you after that Milo interview, and I think it really did move numbers on my channel, which is something that I was not expecting.
Hell, that's no fury, am I right? Yeah,
so
I'm right. Don't go around
where
scolding people.
did the idea of retrospectives come from? And, going through the old stories and talking about things in a positive light.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, did you switch sides too?
Switch sides?
Did you use anywhere but here, right there?
I didn't, no.
Okay, never mind. I'm just crazy then. Anyways, yeah, so it really just came from a desire to... at first, I was just making an IW review, and then slowly over time, I've changed my, tune of not just reviewing a game, but... Oh, we have 3 doors, by the way. Not just reviewing a game, but really going into depth about just everything about it. That's what I love so much about Zelda. Is going so much into things that no one else looks at. It's what these entire games are about. Is you have all these little things going on, these little side details, and the developers really want you to get into them, even if only one person sees it. So my entire passion is helping people see all those little details and really giving maps a better review than just this map really
Nice
sucks.
place for a
Or,
picnic.
this map is really
Long
good.
as we're not what's
when
for
the truth of the
lunch.
matter pretty much lies always in the middle.
No, I think that's awesome, and honestly, your writing with those videos is inspiring. It's something that anybody that's looking to start a channel within this space. Wow, that is a texture glitch. All right, everybody's gonna see that. Yeah, I'm sorry, that was really weird. anybody that is trying to start creating in this space should look into. I really think that the way that you're methodical, but write it in a way that is entertaining and just, you know, informative out the wazoo. I really appreciate it. I think it's something that people should definitely pay attention to if they're trying to start a channel.
Thank you. Yeah, any advice for anyone who makes a channel, just make something that you want to watch. No matter how good or how bad your first video is, just make it. Have fun. If you're not having fun with what you do, if you're not interested in what you do, if you're afraid that like it's not good enough,
families lived
just
in our
go
building.
for it. You only
This
get
room
better
could
with
swallow
practice
it all.
and time. And just have fun with what you do. Life is way too short
Perfect for an
to get
intimate
bogged
dinner
down
with
in
50
what you
of your
dislike about
closest
something. And
friends.
again, if what you dislike about something is what you want to talk about, great. I think my life's way too short to get into stuff that I dislike. I think that these games are way better made than I think most people give them credit for. I think we take for granted a lot of what we have in this franchise.
100%. That is definitely words to live by if you're trying to start a channel. Being afraid of starting is where everybody starts, but when you get past that feeling of being afraid and you actually start doing it, it's just a ton of fun. And doing it for the sake of that
to get a
is
whiff of
where
fresh
some
air
of your
for a
best work
change.
comes from. And I think that's definitely something that people should look into. And, you know, don't worry about what people are going to say or how people are going to perceive you, because nobody knows you except for you. Yeah, nobody knows you the way that you know yourself. And making these videos is going to help people in ways that you'll never know. So definitely think that people should start
Looks
if they
like a
haven't
mad
started yet.
scientist
And if any of our
workshop in
viewers
here,
are watching that
Which is
want to
exactly what
start,
I'd
just do it.
expect from Alistair.
It's
Yeah, this
so
is
worth
smart.
it. Just do it.
Make one of the just the most underbaked, just most it could be like the worst video ever, but you know what? If you had fun doing it, it's the best video ever. If
Exactly.
it's something that you look back fondly on, it's the best video ever. If it's something that you made for you first, best video ever.
So, Stanley, you've hit a couple of pretty large milestones on your channel. Were there any notable ones that you
Can't last
celebrated,
forever. There can only be so many monsters in this
you know,
mansion, right?
shared with your friends and family, and what were those milestones?
My family is extremely supportive of my channel. They love it. I think some particular ones of note is that when I first reached 1 million views on my Cold War video, my mom threw me just a little party. She got a little banner up. She congratulated me, and it was just really sweet. And it's something that I'm never ever going to forget. Another one being was when I first hit 1,000 subscribers. That was huge for me. I could start monetizing my content, and that was a big milestone that I was always shooting for, was hitting that 1,000 subscriber, 40,000 watch hours milestone.
That's awesome.
That was something that I always held in mind. That was the thing on the table, was to get to that. And now, on my desk, I have a framed $100 bill, which is always funny to bring up to people. It sounds kind of weird, but when you tell them the reason of it, it's like, oh, that was the first $100 I made. That is a milestone that represents years of hard work, writing, editing, focusing, not going to hang out with friends because I'm working on a video, spending every waking hour after work and after school working on stuff that I was passionate about, bringing my laptop into school, making some of the
I'm a
worst
better
produced
shot than I
videos
thought.
you've ever seen.
Keep aiming for the
It meant a lot to me,
That's awesome.
and that's why I cherish it so much.
I love that. Along with that, you're sitting right around 18,000 subscribers right now. What do you think was the driving point for people to subscribe and stay long term?
Yeah, I think a lot of things. I think people just support what I do. I've gotten plenty of extremely generous comments. People just saying that they really like what I do. They like that I'm always positive, that they feel like that's someone speaking to their tune in the zombies community. That someone isn't just up and leaving a game once it's done being once we're done talking about it, or that everything should just be written off the year after it's done. It seems that I've really struck a chord with people
Nice suit of
who
armor.
want to
A bit
dig
creepy.
deeper into their love for this franchise.
That's awesome.
Someone who's going to to really say it how it is, and just be overall more positive about it. Look on it in a lighter light, while still providing well thought out criticism that points out the flaws and where you
That's great. Well, and I also think it speaks true to your authenticity. I mean, after having played games with you and talking with you over the last few hours, I think the positivity and just the good vibes are something that, you know, you present in your channel very well. And it's because it's authentic to who you are. I feel like that's pretty evident in what I've been able to see so far. And, you know, this is the first time we've interacted together in person, so...
yeah, it's seriously been my pleasure though. Like, you've been helping me out with all this stuff. It's been nothing but just a joy to talk with you.
Oh, I appreciate that.
No, I really appreciate it, man. It's been just very nice to... I love talking to people in this community.
Dude, it's been a fun Saturday night, that's for sure.
You're not worth a bullet.
What drives you to upload your next video?
Honestly, it is how confusing and how easy it is to get kind of caught up in the insanity of BO6. My main driving force is, what is this game going to look like a year from now? What's it going to look like even a week from now? And I think a lot of people just look at these maps and they just go, well, you know, I'm going to play Liberty Falls once and, you know, call it a day. Man, dude, I just played the Tomb. That was the worst effing map I've ever played in my life. Treyarch has lost it.
Right.
My driving force for these videos is to really chronicle what these experiences were like, how they're going to last going forward, and then probably the only thing that I can't tell is where are we going to be with these maps in 3 years. Like, my IW series was a perfect example of, my first review was extremely underbaked, I didn't show any relevant gameplay in the video, I wasn't having a good time, and then my updated video, well after people had turned, like, more favorably on IW, it was excitement, it was fun, I got to divulge into every detail, and I still had my problems with the game, but I really enjoyed a lot more of what I did. And it's more representative of a more positive light in the community that's important to have.
No, I definitely think that is 100%. I really think that you can tell a drastic difference between those two series. On your openness to see the good in what they did that year. And, you know, for a lot of people really seem to like IW. I mean, as crazy as they are, in my opinion, there are a lot of people that love that franchise.
Yes.
And
one of their favorite games IW is on. I don't agree with that. I can totally see it more as the year that I spent working on that video.
Right, and I think a lot of reviews just crap all over it when there's a lot of people that find a lot of value in it, and I really appreciate how your secondary review really goes into why you think that people would enjoy the series. So
yeah,
again, it speaks true to your authenticity. I mean, those are the biggest questions that I had for you on a YouTube side of things. I do have a couple of miscellaneous questions, however, that don't pertain to really anything.
Is it just me? Or is there no end to these
On the
syntax
internet,
freaks?
you're constantly
you
posting
brought
pictures
enough
of your
bullets,
cat,
Tex.
and me being a cat person myself, what is your cat's name?
my cat's name is Coffee Bean, the lovable little darling that he is. He's currently licking himself next to me.
Coffee Bean's great.
I love him to death. He is my pride and joy, and I finally understand why people turn into crazy cat moms and dads when they get like pets, and they turn into absolute paths that are like, well, my baby, referring to a cat, he's not, I'm not gonna do that. He's my precious pride and joy. It's a cat. And you know what? I finally understand it, having a cat for a year.
Oh, dude, it's a real thing. It is a real thing. They are so sweet.
I'm gonna be honest, dude. I was one of those guys. I was so like, I thought those people were psychopaths. Now I'm one of them.
See, I grew up with cats my whole life. I've always been the cat lover, and nobody's ever understood it. So that's awesome to hear that you're finally joining the coalition of cat people.
Yeah, no, dude, I was the biggest dog guy in the world. I thought cats were like the dumbest thing ever. I'm like, why would I want a cat, dude, when I can get a dog?
So, Stanley, are you just doing the Easter egg?
Yeah, I'm getting silver bullets, doing the stuff, yeah.
That's hilarious. So, zombies is something that's obviously been a big part of your life, and it's been a big part of my life as well. One of the other franchises that has been just instrumental in who I am as a person and how I can handle trauma is the Dark Souls series. Have you played it? What are your thoughts?
I have not. I've only played half of the first game, really liked it, and then I just never really finished it. I really want to go back and finish. I really like the first one. It's super
I
like
could use a
archaic.
fresh
It's
pack
really
of
fun.
bullets right about
But
now.
sadly, me and just playing other games don't really mix very well. I'm very. I have a very specific palate for just about anything, whether it comes to food,
Just another
whether it comes
Friday
to
night.
video games,
Put
whether
in
it
the
comes to
computer.
what I engage myself with. And I've always, like, music is a big one. I've always described it as I don't listen to music, like I don't find and listen to music. Music finds me.
Okay. Okay. I see
I'd
you.
say that's true for just about everything in my life, where Zombies was something that my older brother played, so it basically found its way into my heart through his.
That makes
Anything
sense.
that, like, any of the music on my phone that I listen to, it's like it's either video game music, or it's music from movies, or it's music from like something that I heard in like a band performance. And it's like it's never going to be something that I went out of my way to listen to. It was something that I was basically, it was forced into my hands, and only from there do I get obsessed with it, where I go, wait a second, I really like this.
Okay. No, that totally makes sense. It's kind of how Dark Souls fell into my lap. Well, if
Oh,
you're
right,
ever
yeah, yeah.
looking for another incredible story to deep dive, you can look at Dark Souls as finding its way to you through me, because I can't recommend it enough. It's one of the greatest
What would you say is your
experiences.
favorite?
I think it's hard to say that Dark Souls 3 isn't the best one
That's what I've heard.
by
Yeah.
Dark Souls standards. However, Elden Ring is also within the same franchise and is one of the most incredible experiences in gaming, in my opinion. Sekiro's not technically a Souls game, but if you really want to play the hardest game you've ever played in your life, Sekiro's a great one.
I mean, that's kind of like how, what's it called? Bloodborne is a Souls game. That's absolutely
It's Souls-like. It's very similar. Yeah. Very
Oh,
cool.
is it not? Is Bloodborne not a prequel to Dark Souls?
okay, man?
No, so Demon Souls is the other PlayStation exclusive.
Oh,
That is the
Demon
predecessor.
Souls.
So you've
That's
gone
what I'm
from
thinking.
calling me
Okay,
man
my
to
bad.
calling me
Yep.
miss.
Have you or do you play any other horde modes? For example,
Yeah.
there's
I know Killing Floor is one of them.
Killing Floor. Gears of War actually has a really good horde mode.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of other ones, but I was just curious to see which ones you play, if you have played any.
I hate to say it, but by just answering the question kind of previously, no, I've been asked this before by like people, whether it be like my family, they'll be like, "Yo, like, you know, like, what other zombies media do you want to get into, Stanley?" And I kind of go, I don't know, because like the biggest thing about like zombies that makes zombies interesting to me, it's not just zombies, it's everything that goes into it. It's the narrative, it's the Easter eggs, it's the gameplay, it's the wonder weapons. It's never just the fact that it's a zombie media franchise, even though it is.
No, 100%.
It is-
I think you're on the
is
nose with that
always-
one. I don't think there will ever be a horde mode to top zombies, especially in its prime, you know, BO2, BO1, BO3 days.
Absolutely not, no. But, like, not to say that I still don't love this series to death.
Oh, 100%. And I think that all the other horde modes have a lot of lessons to learn when it comes to, you know, driving narrative and driving engagement. I think Easter eggs are, you know, one of the greatest things in gaming. It's a big part of why we do it and why we're
Not only
here.
that, but it's just making a world that's engaging. It's not just like you can't just slap zombies in a building and really call it a day. It's everything that goes into it.
No, definitely. Aesthetics, theme, story, voice acting, like all of it makes a huge difference and has a huge impact, so
Hey, real quick, give silver bolts.
I do not.
Okay, go grab those. We gotta shoot the top of the model.
Okay, basement, right?
No, they're right there in the library. They're on a little table.
Oh yeah, they're right here. Yep. Okay, I got them.
Okay, follow me.
So I guess to ask another question, have you looked into Destiny raids?
No, I know Mr. Waffle Waffles has been like a big advocate of that recently.
So
Here, shoot the top of the mausoleum. It's like a little like lightning rod up there. Just shoot that with the bullet.
Yep, got it.
All right, that's all I gotta do. Thank you. Okay, so go on.
Did you?
No, I've not. I've never played Destiny. I've heard the most mixed things about it. A man can never hear about Destiny.
You know, mixed is actually really accurate. There's
Like,
a lot
I've
of
heard
good
that
and
it
a
is
lot
the
of bad.
worst game ever, and I have heard from everybody, like people that love it still, that it is like still such a fun game despite a lot of things.
Crikey, that
So
one
again,
smells worse
like
than it
anything,
came
I
in
think it
August.
just simply falls into the middle.
That's fair. Well, little known fact, I have the Destiny logo tattooed on my arm. That's how much I enjoy it. But I also do have a zombies tattoo, so yeah, I was just curious to see what your thoughts were on raids and if you'd played them, because they are kind of similar to Easter eggs. They have a lot of, you know, challenging steps and things like that, so.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Yeah, I heard nothing but really good things about it. It's just something that I've never actually gotten into. I really like should, because I like just taking Miles' recommendation, like how much fun he has with it. It really seems like it would be right up my alley.
It definitely would, especially getting into raids and dungeons. I would say do it without guides if you ever decide to do it. Granted, raids you have to have 6 people, which that part's sad. But
That is a bit of a problem.
dungeons can be soloed though, and dungeons have the same kind of sets. They're just less
Or
long.
am I just shooting that much?
Yeah. Interesting. Okay.
All
Yeah,
right.
and I think my only issue with it is that like I put all my eggs into the COD Zombies basket, so it's kind of hard to like
That's fair.
back down. But yeah, no, thank you. Sorry.
I mean, not even from like a YouTube standpoint. I'm just saying, if you ever have free time,
Yeah.
give it a gander. Well, Stanley, we covered everything. All of my
think so,
questions
yeah.
have been answered.
I'm going
It's
through
been
bullets like tacos
just
through
an
pork
incredible
chops.
pleasure speaking with you and getting to know you over the last few hours. Again, I 100% really appreciate you coming on and giving me an opportunity to make something fun that I don't think the zombies community has seen so far. So again,
Well, I agree.
huge
And
shout
honestly,
out to you. And thank you.
seriously, it was my pleasure to be on. 100% my pleasure.
Awesome. Well, I think I'm gonna wrap up my recording there.